You're not a preemptive God. That is probably. Well,
Everybody, thanks for sticking in. We had a little bit of technical difficulties. Everything's running smooth now. We are testing the audio. There's a lot of people in here. It's quite noisy. So stand by. We appreciate your patience. Sometimes we run into this from time to time, so we're good to go. Another interview? Okay.
We're here with Stephen Norman, who's running for governor of Florida for the Democratic Party. Thank you for your time, Stephen. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what do you plan on doing for the state of Florida?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So thank you for having me. My name is Stefan Norman. I'm running for Florida governor. And what I plan on doing for the state is making it a lot better than what it is now. As currently what we have is we have a lot of selfishness with what we're seeing from leadership. And what I know is I want to bring back compassion, bring back kindness, and let the people know that you have a person in the governor's mansion that's looking out for the best interests of you in Florida.
So when you talk about compassion and kindness, can you tell me what specifically that means, what you can do from the governor's mansion that would allow that to happen?
Yes, sir, absolutely. So what that means is taking care of each other. So for example, on my platform, you can go to my website at www.s as in Stefan, N as in Norman, the number 4, F as in Florida, L as in Larry, governor.org. And you can see all my plans on there as well. But just to go over a little bit of it is a rent reduction in Florida. Due to DeSantis signing into law Senate Bill 102 and HB 1417, which is the Live Local Act. So basically what those two bills mean is that no city, state, or municipality can enforce any kind of rent reduction or rent stabilization in the state of Florida. So if anyone wants to know why their rent keeps on climbing and no one wants to know why, that's why. One of the main, also is revitalizing education. I want to make sure that when children go to school, they receive the best quality education. I want to make sure that we stop the schools of hope that have been plaguing our state and stealing money from our public schools, as well as making sure that we bring Black history back into school so that when children go to school, when they learn about the American history, they learn about the full picture of American history and not a whitewashed version of American history, as well as expand the Florida healthcare as well. We have to make sure that everyone is covered in Florida, covered from the womb to the tomb, to ensure that all Floridians are living their best life while living, of course.
Well, those are great ideas. I just want to know though, to get some of those ideas across the budget, I believe we'd have to raise taxes or something like that. Do you have a plan on how to get the money for those things?
Yeah, so no, we're not raising taxes. Prior to what people think, the money is already there. It's just not being allocated correctly because of the current administration. So the money that was in the budget, we had more than enough money to make sure that people were able to have a tax free for their for fishing and fishing and guns and everything and for purchases like that. So again, all the money that we need to actually make Florida better is already in the budget. We just need someone at the top who's able to actually line that up and make sure that those things get funded.
Well, thank you for your time. I think we're getting ready to watch the forum right now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you. All right.
we are officially endorsing for our gubernatorial position. Outside of that, we are not endorsing anybody, but we certainly want to hear their views, hear their opinions, and find ways that we can make good decisions on policy, not party, because that's how we advance and we heal and build up this country. All right, so first and foremost. So each candidate is going to get 3 minutes to introduce themselves. I have a clock, so I know everybody likes to speak, but please respect the clock and we'll curtail it. I'll do my best to turn it towards you so you know when your time is coming to an end. Then we're going to go through, we'll have questions. I've got a couple questions I've prepared ahead of time. Please limit the responses to 2 minutes because we do have many candidates here and we want everybody to have an opportunity to be heard. We're going to start off with our judicial candidates because of the complications in our political system. They need to say their piece, and then it's best for them to graciously step away so we don't sully anything as far as campaigns go. So we greatly appreciate that. And we did talk about making sure we take care of our staff and our waiters because campaigns and America runs on money. All right, so as you see on the screens, at the end, you'll see there is a QR code for the Libertarian Party of Lee County. If you would like to see more of these events, we would love a donation. So if you use that QR code, it's going to scroll through provide us funds so we can have this wonderful free event. Nobody was charged this event because we wanted to make sure that we had it open to get the maximum turnout and the maximum ability for everybody to hear a voice and have a good discussion. The other pictures you see on the screen, the other QR codes, link to that candidate's website. We did not do any preferential treatment, so my apologies for anybody that did not make the slideshow. But we invited everybody we could, and the ones that we heard back from first were the ones that actually made the cut on that. It is not in any way choosing one person over another in this forum. So be sure to talk to individuals and use your dollars to make your voice be heard. That's one of the key ways that we do make sure that policies and ideas advance and move forward. So we greatly appreciate that. And then last thing I'll say is, as a Libertarian Party, we want maximum freedom and minimal government. And that, thank you for that, yes. So the way we get that maximum freedom is advancing good ideas and good policy, no matter where they come from. It does not matter what side of the aisle, left, right, center, middle, upside down, left, right, wherever, as long as the idea is good and it advances liberty, that's something we would like to hear about, talk about, discuss, and see where we can make that forward. That's why we have this open forum. Every candidate that was on the ballot was invited, and we thoroughly wish that all of them be heard so we can actually have this discussion on ideas. So with that, our website is LeeLibertarians.org, and any other communication you can find us on social media, TikTok, and Facebook in particular are the main ones we are on. So with that, I'll recognize my own limit because I think I've gone over 3 minutes. And we'll give our first candidate, Ms. Vera Bergman, because I have you standing in line first, and give you 3 minutes to introduce yourself, talk about policy. I do kind of eat life. So what is your mouth?
Good evening. Good evening. No? Great, good. Okay. Hi, I'll talk in a court voice. I'm Duffy Bergerman, and I have over 45 years of experience practicing law. And 30 of them, the last 30, have been in Southwest Florida. I've had an office in Fort Myers. I now work in Cape Coral, and I have had adjunct offices in Charlotte County and Collier County. This circuit court race that I'm running for, seat 19, it runs across Charlotte, Lee, Collier, Hendry, and Glades counties, almost 1 million voters. And as you heard, we do not talk about political things. And why? Because judges are to be impartial. And I believe it's very important for the public to have confidence in the impartiality of their judges. And to that effect, I do not accept endorsements, nor do I accept any political committee money. It's my personal belief that that does not fit with a judicial candidate. I also bring, you can imagine, I've been practicing law for 45 years. I bring some life experience to the position. And I believe that that's important because judges do have a lot of discretion within their particular areas. Our job is to apply the law, not make the law. We have legislators to make the law. But even within that, there's still room for discretion. I myself have practiced family law for the last 30 years, and we have a shortage of judges who are skilled in family law practice. There is an open seat right now in Lee County as well as in Collier County, and as a result of that, there have been trials that have been canceled from people who have been waiting since 2022. And I believe that it is time to put more family law people because we need some greater diversity. And again, we could use experience because many of our judges have been fine young men. And you kind of sometimes need the grandmas in there. That's me. So I hope to have your vote on August 18th. The race will be over with on August 18th. We will not proceed to November. So it's important to get out there and tell your friends and family because so many people don't vote for judges because they have no idea who we are. Thank you.
And look at that, perfect on time. That's wonderful. We'll go right there. And Mr. Pacheco.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Judge Javier Pacheco. I'm a county court judge here in Lee County. I do civil cases here, the business cases, construction, neighbor disputes, small claims. Before I became a judge, I was a business litigator for 20 years. I was a little expert in this area of the law. I was board certified in business litigation. And that's why Governor DeSantis appointed me last year to serve you as your Lee County judge. A little bit more about me. I came to the United States when I was 9 years old. My family was attacked by communist terrorists in Peru. So we fled to the United States, and this beautiful country opened its arms to us, gave us the opportunity to work hard, to study, through education and hard work, build ourselves up out of poverty. Moved to Ohio, and then my wife and I, we moved to Bonita Springs in 2008. So we've been here in Southwest Florida, 2008. She's a prosecutor, so she works at the building next to mine downtown. We have 2 kids in Bonita Springs. This is home. This is our place we want to be forever. We want to support it. We want to help our community. As far as what I believe in, as somebody who came from another country, I've seen how things can be in other places. When we don't have the rule of law, when we don't have the constitutional guarantees that we have. And from the point of view of prosperity, it is when you have the legal rights to private property that you have prosperity, that you can have access to capital, you can have access to growth. One of the most important things that we have is a good system of titles where you can access, everybody knows whose property is who. People take that for granted. But if you go to other countries and somebody is living in a little hovel, they don't own that. And if you don't own things, then you can't turn that into wealth. And that's what has allowed our country to become the greatest country in the history of the world. Is that legal system that underpins our prosperity, that allows our hard work to be turned into wealth and capital. And I bring to the bench, and I brought to the bench the work ethic in the private sector. I have not ever worked for the government until I was appointed by Governor DeSantis last year. So I bring creativity, I bring hard work, I bring solutions. I've revamped the way that the landlord-tenant evictions are done in Southwest Florida. Well, in Lee County, because that's where I sit. By making it more efficient, easier, and providing people access to community resources. So I'd love to talk a lot more about that if you have a chance to get at me. If any of you have properties and you're the landlords or you're the tenants, please come talk to us because it's very important for us to kind of spread the word of what we're doing and improving the system. Whether I win or lose, I'm passionate about improving government efficiency, improving the way we do things to make it better. So just coming from outside of that, you have solutions. It's not just about the way things have been done forever. It's about new ideas and hard work and working hard for the people of Lee County.
Perfect. Thank you. Really appreciate it. All right. So Here, stand up to the front. Got a couple questions I'd like to hear from you and Vera. If you want to come up here, we can go ahead and go over those. So, and anybody that has a question from the crowd, we're going to go through these, and then we'll have an opportunity for you all, and then our judicial candidates will have the opportunity to graciously bow out. So we have one that's coming up ahead of time. Sure. Yeah, we're gonna have you come up to the front. There's a microphone over here by Mr. Mule, and we'll go for that. So I've got only 2 questions I was gonna ask, and then we'll open it up to the floor. So start formulating your questions now, and then we'll have responses for 2 minutes. So the first question that I have is, jury nullification has been a viable option since the state's founding of Florida. It's something that libertarians find is often unused. So what can be done that people that are serving on a jury know about this option of jury nullification, in the sense that if the people choose, even though they feel that somebody is guilty of a crime, they choose to say, you know what, despite this person's guilt, we would like to not proceed with those charges, just as a basic explanation for people out there. So if you would tell us your opinion on that and your thoughts on how we could actually expand the opportunity for juries to actually nullify if they choose that somebody that they feel is guilty should still not have a particular sentence passed on them.
So this is a tough question because as a judge, I am required to instruct the jury on what the law is and not on what the law isn't, or ignoring what the law is. It is very important that when we go to court, that we have certainty about what's going to happen. We have the ability to plan and understand how our system is going to develop. Jury nullification is a sacred right that everybody has to decide cases on their own. The right to people to decide cases is really what keeps us free. But as far as what they're going to be told in the courtroom, it has to be within the bounds of the law. Because otherwise, we can have a lot of disorder, a lot of the people also are who the laws come from. And so if we as a people elect our legislators to have laws in place, we as a people want those laws to be upheld. We want those laws to be enforced. And if you have judges deciding, well, Judge Pacheco feels bad for you, so he's going to rule in your favor, Judge Pacheco thinks this way, then that leads to uncertainty, that leads to tyranny, and that's not what we want. We want the rule of law, not the rule of men. And so that being said, again, if you're a juror and you feel strongly that the law is unjust, you have that right to hold out and say, well, I don't agree with this. And you'll get what's called an Allen charge, right? It's you got to go back and try to see if you can reach a verdict. But if you don't, then you have a hung jury, and that's okay. That's part of our system. That's part of our process. The rules provide for it. And so long as people know that, and then they feel strongly in their convictions that they don't want to convict somebody, and that's what they do. But we can't instruct them on the wrong law. Perhaps, so to answer your very specific question, how do we let people know about that? That's probably through public education and an outreach program, but not inside the courts. The courts are about the law.
Honestly, I have nothing to add to that. That was a textbook answer. And again, as Judge Pacheco said, we are here to apply the law, not make the law, and even if we feel otherwise.
Thank you for those responses. Greatly appreciate that. And my second final question is, with the advancement and further utilization of flock cameras and these automatic license plate reading cameras, there's a lot of questions of Fourth Amendment violations where people feel that these are unwarranted search and that's a violation of constitutional rights. What can you all as judges explain to us as far as that utilization and Fourth Amendment with regard to the use of flock cameras?
So, I mean, this is a controversial topic, and this can actually come before me, so I can't really talk about how I would rule on any of this. However, I can tell you that the Sixth District Court of Appeals, which is the Court of Appeals that governs us, is looking very closely at these, and primarily the right of confrontation. You have a constitutional right to confront the witnesses against you, and these flock cameras have some very difficult problems with that. And so, I, as a trial court judge here in Lee County, I'm bound by the law and I'm bound by what the appellate court say. But I can tell you that the appellate courts are looking at this very closely, and there's already been some decisions that have been reversed by the appellate courts of trial court judges who are trying to apply these laws based on the right to cross-examine the witnesses against you and confront witnesses against you in search and seizure as well. And so stay tuned, because this is an area of the law that the judges are very, very closely looking at. But as a trial court judge, I have basically to follow what the appellate courts tell me.
And just to expand on that a little bit, I'd like to explain the role of the trial court judges as being a bit like the spear carriers. We are like the privates in the army, and we carry out the orders in this case being the law. We apply the law, we carry out the orders. Now, the officers are the appellate courts. They give the orders to us. And then further on up, you have the generals who plan the whole thing, and that's our Supreme Courts. So we're the spear carriers. We make decisions about children and money, guilt, innocence, but we don't make policy.
Thank you for those answers. We greatly appreciate them. So we have a question from the crowd, and if you step forward to the microphone.
Mine was about red light cameras. So you can speak on that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because there was a judge in, I think it was Broward or Brevard, that ruled the cameras were having to prove your innocence. So
Right.
he was bringing questions about that.
In the United States, you are presumed innocent until proven guilty, and you have to be proven guilty by beyond a reasonable doubt. And so, anytime the circumstance comes before the court where those burdens are switched, then there's a constitutional violation. We have to be very careful of that. And so, again, the judges are taking a very close look at that. I do civil traffic cases here in Lee County, and I can tell you, the cases that come before me are usually because somebody has a really bad accident, either great bodily harm or death, because those cases are required to come before a judge. And I'm only doing the civil cases, not DUIs, not criminal cases. And we haven't yet had one of those cameras come before, at least not before me. But I tell you that every time before it's my turn to do civil traffic, I review all those laws just to make sure that I'm well aware of all of the issues that could come up. We don't want people speeding, we want people to be safe, we want everybody to get home at night each day. But we can't lose sight of the Constitution and the burden of proof being on the state, and our right to be, free from a fine or a penalty from the government without the due process of law. And so long as we have that, we'll be okay.
I second that.
Outstanding. Do you have another question? Sure.
So Vera, you mentioned that you are hopefully going to be in the family court division. In 2001, the Supreme Court of Florida ruled that we should have what's called the Family Law Advisory Group, which is basically like a school board meeting where any parties, whether it's a parent, teacher, coach, or anybody wanting to be involved, can ask questions of the courts. Since 2001, the Supreme Court ruled that, and no counties have implemented it. Lee County was one of the pilot programs, and I believe that they received $250,000 to do this. The excuse is that there's never been policies for time and procedures. If you get involved, is it something that you can look into and implement it into our counties so that way we can resolve the issues in our family courts? Because 40% of our court filings are family law related and 70% of them are re-adjudicated, which is why the Supreme Court ruled that we should have this order.
I'm a great believer that the community can be of great help in improving our judicial system. And in fact, I was part of a group from, 1998 to 2001 that was called the Quality and Best Practices Committee. And it was started by Judge Hugh E. Starnes, who is since retired. And he brought in people from the community, from the court system, like judicial assistants, people working for the clerk's office, lawyers, mediators, all kinds of people. And the idea was to take a look at where we had needs and to also look around the state and see how other people were meeting those needs. And we did roll out some new initiatives. The ones that I was personally involved with was the case management system that we do still have now. We didn't design it the way it looks now, but that was one thing that stayed. Another thing we did was a program called Pay or Appear, which went by the wayside because it was deemed to be violating constitutional rights. And I would say with the way it was being carried out, that unfortunately is what did happen. But the idea was we made changes. And I think it's important to be creative like that, involve others, and I think it's time to have another quality and best practices committee involving the community.
Outstanding. Thank you. We have any other questions for our judicial candidates? All right, we greatly appreciate you all joining us, taking the time to visit with us, tell us your opinions. Greatly hard. I appreciate you guys stepping out. So, yes. If you guys don't have to leave, by all means, we have a cash bar in back. There are some hors d'oeuvres and food for people to snack on. And again, remember us for donations to make sure we can actually recoup on something of that. Well, greatly appreciate that. So with that, we're going to go ahead and begin with what? Timer stop. I tell you. There we go. Oh. All right. So with that said, we're going to move to our candidates. And each candidate, as I mentioned before, is going to get 3 minutes to introduce themselves, their policies, and tell us about them. We're going to start with the one candidate that we do endorse, Mr. Scott Jewett. I'll hand you the floor and now pontificate.
Thank you, my friend. Can everybody hear me okay? Oh, I'm running for office because of my dad. I'm from California, and when I moved to Florida, I chose to be here. This is the greatest state in the country and one of the greatest places to live anywhere. My dad was the most ethical and honest and fair person I ever met. So whenever I think of what the right thing to do is, I think of my dad. And he passed away a few years ago. But when I was a kid, he was volunteering for the Libertarian Party in California, which is a tough thing to do because that's a non-libertarian state. And I said, Dad, what is a libertarian? And he said, there were a bunch of people that went down to the forest to catch a leopard to put into the zoo. And so they caught a wild leopard, they put it in a cage, and they put it in the zoo. And he said for the rest of its life, that leopard tries to get out, paces the bars, it scratches at the door, it knows what freedom is like. And he said, but its cub that was born in captivity has no idea and gets complacent, doesn't understand what real freedom is. So the Libertarian Party stands for allowing you, as long as you don't hurt anybody else, as long as you don't tread on anybody else's rights or freedoms, that you have personal freedom to do as you want. As a libertarian, I stand for 3 main initiatives. Number 1, I founded my campaign on, and I found this out firsthand. Our property tax and homeowners insurance, our homeowners insurance is a disaster here. Less than 8% of what you pay in homeowners insurance gets paid out in damages. In fact, most of it's going to litigation, adjusters, and the insurance company. So I brought on an advisor who owns a big insurance company, and he said, Scott, it's not just the insurance company's fault. It's the regulations and the regulators. So I've written a bill for the legislature to vote on this and to clean this up. My homeowners insurance has tripled in the 6 years I've owned my house, and it's just out of control. The second thing is, and by the way, I'm a businessman and an innovator. I'm the inventor of 17 patents, several in the energy industry.
And
That's the introduction part. It's 3 minutes. 2 minutes on responses.
do I get extra time there? We need to be an energy center of the world, and that means thorium nuclear fuel, which is clean, very inexpensive, and very, very safe. The last thing is I'm the only candidate that went to Tallahassee to testify for eliminating property tax on all homestead properties here in the state of Florida. We can do this. It's only 28% of the total budget. We can give full funding to the education, the schools, the law enforcement, and all our infrastructure and eliminate those taxes. It is on the ballot. Thank you. We got that onto the ballot, but it's not enough. We need to go farther. It's only a reduction.
All right, thank you. And over to Mr. Shadrack, if I could borrow 3 minutes, we had one judicial candidate came in a little late just to do his introduction, and that way we can have them finish. Mr. Colombo.
Stand up.
Stay limber, stretch it out. I learned that from the new Spider-Man movie. You gotta make sure it's stretched.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Colombo, you get 3 minutes to.
As much time as you want to take, you have about 2. It's about 3 minutes.
Hello. Hello.
You're on speaking close.
Oh, hello, everyone. This is not stand-up comedy. No, my name's Mike Colombo. That's actually my real name. It's not the guy from TV that says just one more thing. It's funny. And my apologies for being late. I did an interview this afternoon with Trey Radel on 92.5. So I was a little late from work and court, and I do a lot of different things. I'm a trial lawyer. And as a trial lawyer, I am very busy. I've done over 100 jury trials. I am running for county judge. Experience, integrity, and fairness. That's what matters. I'll just tell you a little bit about myself. I got 2 minutes, and I can be done hopefully much quicker. 17 years in law enforcement. Of those 17 years, about 14 years of that was as a prosecutor. I did over a decade here in Southwest Florida. I worked in the Special Victims Unit, handling really complex cases. Probably handled thousands of cases as a prosecutor. I also work as a defense attorney, so defending constitutional rights on a daily basis. So about 8 years in private practice. I've done employment law, civil law, criminal law, a little bit of everything. I also served our country post 9/11. I was a special agent with the Department of Homeland Security. I worked on the 2010 Times Square bombing case. I was responsible for finding over 30 people that came into our country with a fake visa that the bomber used. So that's just tell you a little bit about my background. I have law enforcement background. I have private practice background, both prosecution and criminal defense. I've done over 100 jury trials. So that's hands-on experience. The other thing I would like to just share with you briefly is I'm part of the Professional Ethics Committee. The Florida Bar has a Professional Ethics Committee. I was appointed by the Florida Supreme Court 2023 and then reappointed in June of 2026. I'm bar licensed in 3 different states as well as in federal court. And I have 3 kids. I have a lovely wife who is probably working with the kids right now because I'm here. So I'd like to thank you all for your time and your attention, and I appreciate it. 30 seconds if anybody has a question, shoot one. All right, thank you. Thank you all very much for your time. So we'll pass it over to you, Mr. Shadrack.
Good. Hey, thanks for inviting me today. I'm Tom Shadrack, running for Cape Coral District 1 City Council. I want to give you a little background. Get my time. All right. 37 years at the Boeing Company, doing management mostly in procurement, contracts and pricing, and lastly, program management. My last program was a $1.5 billion contract where we had 500 employees globally, and very successful program. And I had a great 37-year career. I did raise 3 kids there and have 9 grandkids up there now in St. Louis. That was St. Louis, the home of defense for the Boeing Company. As a defense contractor, I got to know all government regulations at the federal level, and it was a lot of fun dealing with fighter jets for the government
And I had a secret clearance the whole time and could get into all Air Force naval bases around the world for the U.S. I also, during that time, I got my master's in finance, and I am really good at the numbers. And I've been in Cape Coral now, the great city that we love, for 8 years. And for the last 7 years, I have been involved in the budget for our city. Someone asked me to look at the Parks Go bonds and see where that was going. That $60 million thing we voted for in 2018. I said, okay, I'll take a few weeks to get to the bottom of it. It took me 6 months to understand it because of the peeling the onion of lack of transparency in our city. So I was able to figure that out and realize it was in deep, deep trouble. And still today, those parks are supposed to be done in 2021. We're still waiting for 3 of them. And they, instead of 60 million, it's now $100 million to do those parks. Crazy. That's kind of representative of what our city is doing. No accountability and overrunning and not completing anything. And so I got involved then in the budget on that. And I've been watching it ever since. I ran for mayor 4 years ago as a protest to our taxes going up. I think the Libertarians can appreciate that we're paying too many taxes. And so I did accomplish that protest 4 years ago and got our millage rate down. And that has been advertised as saving $70 million to the taxpayers over the last 5 years. So I'm constantly going to all the council meetings. I understand the budget. And I want to run this year just to win for us. Keep our place affordable, keep our taxes down, and my program management skills, I'll be able to watch the city manager and hold them accountable for schedule and cost. Performance is key. Thank you.
Yeah, there was definitely a little extra on that poll there. Lisa Cohen Atkinson, I'm running for mayor of Cape Coral. I moved here in 1990. I like to refer to it as the great kidnapping of 1990. I was 12 years old, kicking and screaming, had no interest in moving to Cape Coral, Florida. When I moved here, you could see blocks and blocks before you saw another home. So I have seen some serious transitions in our community. The one thing that I am most focused on right now is affordability for the community. Our property taxes are up 47% over the last 5 years under the rule and regime of the Gunter administration. So that is my number one objection, to make sure that they can't run us out of our community. This is our home, and I want to take Cape Coral back for the residents. I see myself as a watchdog. I see myself as that mama bear who stands between the government and to protect people. I see myself as that mom that has her claws out to try to stop the government from getting into our pockets because it feels like that's all they ever want to do. So that is my number one objective. A big thing that I'm also working on is the UEP and doing some great reform work on that as well. There is a Florida statute 255.20 that was amended in 2014 that made it to where the city government, the city workers are not permitted to do any work in-house over $250,000. Now, there is a job that was done by the utility workers, by the UCD division. What they did was they tapped into Coral Lakes and they ran the water over to Bella Vita. They were given a budget of $2,100 per door. There were 400 doors that were done. They got it done for $1,700 a door. That was for water and irrigation only. This is huge. I'm not saying that the city employees can do everything. They cannot. They cannot do sewers. They cannot do the lift stations. They can't do the manholes. There's a lot of things they can't do. But there's only 4 companies that bid on the UEP. And that's because they're all inclusive. They're all in one companies that do everything from start to finish. If we let in-house do some of the work, we can open up those bids to 20, 30, 50 different companies that could bid on the sewers and the rest of the work that needs to be done. That is a huge savings that could take place for the residents. And I always ask myself, why are they working so hard to stop you from saving money? Why are they trying to convince you that I'm trying to spread it out and make people that already paid for the UEP and make them pay for it again? It's the status quo that wants you to just keep going along. The city is absolutely worried about me becoming the next mayor of Cape Coral. And I am all about it because what I'm here to do is protect the people. That's number one.
So my name is Sean Hartman, and I am running to serve you, not rule over you. I want to thank Clifford and the Libertarian Party of Lee County of having this amazing forum. Clifford knows, and a few of the Libertarians know, that when I got started at 18, 19 years old, surprise, surprise, as an 18, 19-year-old, I was a Libertarian. So I was registered as a Libertarian, meeting where they still meet at Shoeless Joe's. And even back then, even though they were the third party, they were always trying to make sure that the cause of liberty was being promoted and advocated for. I remember learning about school choice from Kim Hawk. Some of the libertarians will know that name. So the big reason I'm a big school choicer now is because of him. And to this day, I still think that I have a little bit of libertarian in me, because really at the end of the day, it's making sure that we are all free and limiting our government, making sure that we're living within our means. So I grew up in the city. I see you're 12 years and I raised you 4. I moved here when I was 4 years old in 1994. So I really grew up with the city. I have seen the city grow, and that's the main reason why I'm running, because I want to make sure that we grow uniquely Cape Coral. And we don't become like a Miami or a Tampa or Orlando. We are very our city is different than all of those. We are growing and we are an urban city, but we still have that family-friendly community feel, and we need to keep it that way. There's a few of the issues that I want to discuss, and you can find my whole platform at seanforcapecoral.com. But a few of the issues I want to discuss, I think everyone's concerned about taxes, especially the libertarians. One of the taxes that I don't think is discussed enough is the public service tax. That's the 7% tax on your electric bill. For these lights to be on right now, Duffy's is paying 7% more because of a tax that the city has been pushing for, has had for years now. I want to eliminate that tax. That's going to immediately reduce everyone's costs, whether you're a renter, whether you're a homeowner, whether you're a business owner, and even if, let's say, you're a homeowner that has like the Save Our Homes Act with the homestead exemptions already, or the property tax amendment, the public service tax bypasses all of that. So it's a tax cut for everyone that I really hope to push for and implement when I get on the city council. Another big issue that I'm focused on, and I know libertarians will love, is we need to deregulate our city. I've heard for too long that we are one giant HOA. That's why on my website, seanforcapecoral.com, I have my DHOA Cape Coral plan. So we can finally deregulate Cape Coral so we have less rules controlling you in this city. So getting government off of your back, I think that's the one issue we all align with. So my name is Sean Hartman. I am at your service, and I look forward to your questions.
Good afternoon. My name is Rich Leone, running for mayor of the city of Cape Coral. Not only running, I'm going to upset a lot of people by being the next mayor of the city of Cape Coral. I'm sorry, Rick. I'm sorry, Lisa. It happens. Yeah, we went after a war here. We were here for 12 years, 3 years, 4 years. I've been here since I've been 2. Yeah. Second generation Cape High graduate. And I love that. And I think you see that a lot more. You have people, we're such a new city compared to a lot of people around us in the state. You have more and more people that have been growing up, being raised here, just getting involved, seeing that there's something wrong with our government. And that's truly important and so incredible that we get to see that. There's a few issues that, you're going to hear tonight. You've heard on the campaign trails. What the number one issue for me, and it's out of the left field because people are like, what are you talking about? Is communication. Because no matter who you vote for, no matter who becomes the next mayor, city council member, if we don't fix the communication between the people and those who are governed and the governance, we're never going to fix anything in this city. It's that simple. And I wish we could fight as hard as we can and get elected. And whoever gets up there, they have to focus on the communication. If we don't fix that, things like our taxes will never be fixed. They're out of control spending when it comes to Bimini East, JC Park, Yacht Club. There is no way we will fix any of those issues. There's no way we'll fix the UEP. Yeah, it's great. Some candidates might have a great idea to inflate city staff. Perfect. What they don't tell you, that state law does not prohibit the cities or counties from actually doing the job. It makes it a lot harder for them, yes, as it should, because the responsibility of the state is to make sure the city doesn't overstep its bounds, which we have seen in the Cape Coral over and over again. And it sucks. It's that simple. We need experienced leadership that knows the role, that is understanding of how it works, has the relationships to fight for you, to stand for you. Go to my Facebook page, Rich Leone 2026. I just posted my 6-step UEP plan. The most important thing on that plan, like everything else I have, is that it comes from the people. You are the most important thing about this project, about anything there is about government, and our council, our bureaucracy of government, have forgotten that. We are here to remind them no more. We will fight for you, we will defend you, and we will ensure that Cape Coral's best days are still ahead. Thank you. My name is Rich Leone. I hope you vote for me. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. How are you doing today? How are you doing today? Thank you. So, okay. Is this good? Yeah. Okay, perfect. Okay. Hello, my name is Stefan Norman. Thank you to Mr. Clifford, and thank you to the Libertarian Party for having me as well in Lee County. So basically, my name is Stefan Norman. So I'm the only Democrat running here. So I'm excited to be with you all again here today. So one of the issues that I'm mainly focused on is making Florida a lot better than what it is right now and looking forward towards the future. So one of those things is I want to enforce a rent reduction because of Senate Bill 102 as well as HB 1417. Those are bills that make up the Live Local Act. So what that means is that no city, county, or municipality is allowed to enforce any kind of rent stabilization or any kind of rent reduction in the state of Florida. So if anyone here who's a renter that wonders why every single year you go to renew the rent goes up and it never seems to have any type of cap on it, that's the reason why. I also want to revitalize education as well. If you're not aware, in Miami now we have schools of hope. So what that means is that there are private schools that are actually inside of public schools that are leaching all of their electricity, all of their food, all of their actual utilities, if you will, and they pay nothing to the public school. In the midst of which we're going through an extreme underfunding of the public schools in Florida as well. So I want to stop that as well as expanding the education to put Black history back into school so that when children do go to school, they understand the full scope of American history, not just a whitewashed version of it that we have now under the current governor. And the next thing I want to focus on too is expanding healthcare. Healthcare has been something that's been, I'm sure is important to all of us, but what I also want you to know is that if you've been watching the news anytime lately, you would know that currently we have Florida Doge who are trying to cut up to $300 million for the county healthcare system. So under Governor DeSantis, he decided to not do the Florida expansion, which at the time, the Florida healthcare expansion, which at the time dropped 800,000 people off of their healthcare. Now it's more to 1.5 million, and with this $300 million cut, it's going to be even more than that. So what I'm running for is being the best candidate that there is as far as to be aggressive with trying to help us and making sure that we put forth the best candidate possible. Not a moderate, someone who understands that what needs to be done needs to be done and needs to be done now, rather than waiting along the way and then go along and get along and then nothing ends up happening. So again, my name is Stefan Norman. My website is www.s as in Stefan, and it's in Norman, the number 4, F as in Florida, L as in Larry, governor.org. You can find out more about me. And, thank you all for also the Libertarian of Escambia County for having me in a couple months ago at this point as well. And I had so much fun there. So again, thank you. Thank you.
My name is Alan Spence, and I'm running for Congress in Florida's 17th Congressional District. Where that is here, that's West Sarasota County, everything west of the interstate, all of Charlotte County, and a lot of Lee County as well. City of Fort Myers, Alva, Buckingham, Olga are all in District 17, along with a lot of North Fort Myers. I'm a lifelong Floridian. I've been here my whole life. I graduated high school from Fort Myers High School. I live in the district. The incumbent that's running for the incumbent in this office right now doesn't even live in the new redrawn District 17. Greg Stubbe. I'm a scout leader. My son's in the Scouting America Troop 433 in Punta Gorda. I serve as an assistant scoutmaster there. That's how I've been giving back to the community for the past several years. I met my wife here in North Fort Myers on the Hancock Ridge Parkway at Publix, where we both worked there. I worked as a stock clerk. I worked in the dairy case. I worked in produce, and she worked in the office. When I was 17, we built a wonderful life together. I have a 14-year-old son. And I've been working very hard since I was 15. I've had a job. I worked 2 jobs to get through college. But we have a national emergency right now, the national debt. It's approaching $40 trillion right now. The deficit this year is equal to the same amount of GDP as we had in World War II. Interest rates are rising. It's being driven by the national debt. People afford less home when they get a home mortgage because rates are higher. And politicians are lying to you. The president is talking about increasing defense spending by 50%. We already spend $1 trillion on it. The incumbent is running as a fiscal conservative. When he got into office in 2019, the debt was $22 trillion. It's $40 trillion now. Time and time again, he has voted to increase the debt. I agree. Mr. Jewett was talking about insurance. Rates are going up. One of the things that I want to do, these large insurance companies, they play accounting tricks with subsidiaries, state-level subsidiaries. They show a fake loss on paper to justify premium increases on people. If you go to my website, I have something called the Prosperity Agenda, which is my plan to lower costs and strengthen families. And I want to get rid of these state-level subsidiaries. I've been endorsed by the Democratic Environmental Caucus of Florida. I have a plan about the environment. It's called Keep It Wild. You can take a look at it on my website. I have a plan for economic prosperity. I have an economics degree. I didn't talk about that. And I still have a day job where I work 50 hours a week, and I do this 30 to 40 hours a week. My name is Alan Spence. I'm running for Congress in Florida's 17th Congressional District. I need your vote in the primary if you're a Democrat, but I need your vote at the ballot box in November. This is about being loyal to America and being loyal to the Constitution before anything else. And that's what we need right now to fix this national emergency. Thank you.
All right. Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Thank you for inviting all of us out here. It's a wonderful event you put on. My name is Julie McCormack. I'm running for the Florida House of Representatives for District 76. It is time that we have real representation. I started working at 12 years old when my dad fell off of a 20-foot ladder head first, ended up shattering everything from his third vertebrae above his hip to his pinky toe. I started working in a brick kilners overnight, moved on eventually when it was legal for me to work, to ranches and farms. Eventually, I landed myself a sales manager position at a local farm, and my first paycheck was $5 because I was on commission. So that's why I tell everybody I started my farm, McCormack Ranches, with $5 and a chicken. It's true. It wasn't even an owned chicken. It was a loaned chicken. Now, today, McCormack Ranches serves over 19 counties with fresh, organic food. Pretty soon, we're going to be serving the schools as well. And thank you. I have a few degrees under my belt as well. It's the first in a few generations to actually complete college. And I have a master's in statistical probability and real world application. I have 2 bachelors, one in animal behavior zoology and the other one in microbiology and real world physiology. I'm also working on an environmental degree and a law degree. I figure I better be etched up before I get in. I'm a mother, and I'm a staunch advocate for conservation. Right now, the wildlife corridor that we have, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing to be able to preserve land in this state, looks like a skeleton. We need to enhance it. We need to expand it. We need to preserve our resources. This is not a partisan issue. Every single human being and animal needs clean water, clean air, land to live on, land to breathe on, and a good quality of life, good enjoyment of life. That means defending our healthcare practices, making sure that they're fiscally minded as well as quality minded, as well as our bidding processes for whoever is going to do work, infrastructure, roadways, utilities. We need to make sure that we're not just choosing the cheapest option, but that we are choosing the best option in the state of Florida. Infrastructure, I never want to see a Hurricane Ian here in Southwest Florida ever again. So the plan is to make infrastructure a forethought, not an afterthought, to update what we have before we develop anything else and make sure that we're up to scratch, to make sure that everything is put together and put in a great wall of mangroves. Thank you so much for your time.
Hi, my name is Linda Sawyer. I'm running for Congress in the 19th. My background is I'm an NIH-funded federal research study coordinator at the University of Michigan, and of course, I'm a federal grant writer. And to me, that is how we bring money back into the districts, by getting federal grant money. Some will go before the Appropriations Committee. A lot of the other ones are private grants, and this is for social problems like your veterans, your senior housing, your infrastructure. I'm from a police, fire, and EMS family. I'm a boat captain and a scuba diver, so I'm a conservationist as well. And Grandpa was a farmer, so grew up on a farm. The reason I entered the race late is I am against socialized medicine run by the government. To me, I am absolutely less government. And I understand, being the richest country in the world, why we want insurance for all. It's heartbreaking when people come into the emergency room and they're more worried about how they're going to pay their bill than to get healthy. So I have been going back and forth between here and Detroit for 45 years. And what you don't realize is a lot of the people from Ontario are coming into Detroit for care. Because what happens is your veteran Medicare, your senior Medicare, the Medicare you're all paying into right now is going to switch to single taxpayer. And you're going to be competing with everybody in the United States trying to find a doctor. And so that's why the Canadians are coming to Detroit. So there's a thing called direct patient care that a Canadian doctor started in Detroit. I'm the only one in the country running on this, and it's my job to educate people on this because it's a way to have everybody insured without government-run insurance. So what was happening is he was saying, you know what, for $100, come over as much as you want. But Pierre was getting backed up in Windsor. He's like, you know what, come on over, I'll do your stitches. And so he turned out to be urgent care. When he would write prescriptions in the United States, it's not good in Canada, so he opened his own pharmacy with at-cost medication. It doesn't get any cheaper than at cost. You don't realize that our pharmacies get at cost. They increase the price and then they sell it to you, and that's why you have good RX. We have, if you know anybody in this area without insurance, I found 3 practitioners at Alico and Tamiami. For $100 a month, you can go in there, come out with at-cost medicine, you will have insurance. There's 2 ways we can spin it. We can have it where Medicare stays in its own funding. Private insurance you can still have. The uninsured can either pay for it out of pocket, have their employers help them with it, or we can switch the Medicaid pot into the direct patient care, which is not government-run healthcare, but government-funded healthcare. And that's how we get everybody insured. I go to Dearborn, so I want to ban Sharia law, and I want a new squad, and I want it with Kat Kamek and Lisa McLean. Lisa McLean is already on the Pension and Health Committee. If I can get on that committee, that's how Southwest Florida is going to save Medicare. Just start that. Start that right now. Starting it right now. So just if you want anything else, go to my website and resource. Oh, that's okay. Thank you.
Yes. Hello. Okay, hello everyone. Thank you for the invitation. My name is Dan Shepard. I'm running for Cape Coral Mayor. I lived here approximately 29 years. When I moved here, there wasn't a stick or a tree in the ground. And what I did is I lined my street with royal palms to make it beautiful. And 2 days later, code enforcement was at my house telling me I was a lawbreaker. And that was a 2-year legal battle, and I won. And we now have beautiful streets. From that point on, I became an advocate to fight for citizens and businesses that were having problems with the city. And I did that for about 25 years. I became a councilman and served 4 years. And my goal was to raise the financial demographic of the city and bring more jobs. And I was the first elected official to form a relationship with Lee Health and convince them that they needed to buy property now before it's too late. And as you can see, they've had many expansions in our city. They've added 2,500 jobs, which will approach to over 3,000 shortly when the last 2 buildings are completed. The reason I'm running for mayor is I have the experience. There's no learning curve. I know some of the problems of the wasteful spending and frivolous spending, if you would like to call it that. One of the things I want to do is convince council to open up procurement and change the level of expectation. What I mean by that is the expectation for a business to even be allowed to put in a bid is so outrageous that your small businessman or entrepreneur doesn't even have the ability to even put a bid in. The other thing I want to do with procurement is modernize it. So for instance, something as simple as buying office paper. If anybody in this room wants to buy some office paper, they go on Amazon, they find the cheapest price. It's at their door in the morning.
No.
This doesn't work like that. This signs a 1-year contract with a supplier. And you know what happens with a 1-year contract? The prices change right after the contract. So that's another thing that needs to be done. When it comes to economic development, we probably have 50 code officers in our city that give us tickets for if we leave our sprinkler on too long or a timer was messed up. But when it comes to economic development, I believe we only have 3 or 4 individuals. And one of the problems that we have here is we need more commercial business. And what I would like to see is more people hired in economic development to help investors that move to our city to walk them through the bureaucracy so they don't fail. We literally have entrepreneurs that rent properties here and never open the doors because they fail, because the system drags them so long and they learn things late in the game and they fail, and that needs to end. So, like I said, I have the experience. I know how to get started right away. It takes 5 votes, and I think I can form a good relationship with whoever the council team is at the time to move the city forward in a positive way. Thank you.
I'm ready. Reset. Okay, my name is Tommy Santo. I'm running for City Council District 1. Thank you for having us here, and thank you all for showing up. So my background comes from experience. So from 1981 to 85, I served in the United States Marine Corps. I've had 1 deployment. But in the military, we learned about leadership, integrity, accountability. And our mission was to take care of the mission and the people. We don't leave anybody behind. Something I learned that I carried through. When I came to Cape Coral, I've been here for 22 years. I got a total of almost 29 years living here in Florida. I did graduate Florida Atlantic University in Boca Raton, so I got my degree. I studied business, I studied engineering, and I did 1 year of law. And for you lawyers, I didn't finish. I had enough of 1 year. No. Yeah, I decided being a paralegal was much better than being an attorney, more fun. But when I did that, I learned that you need to be able to serve the people, work with all kinds of people. When I was in the Marine Corps, we had people from all over the country that we had to work with. Well, there's no difference than working in city council. You need to work with people that have different philosophies, different mindsets, different backgrounds. So I started moving that, and I went into doing construction. I learned how to do remodeled kitchens. I did bathrooms, and then I learned how to do budgets. Right? How do you stay within a budget? Something our city has no idea what to do, but I had to do it because as a small business owner that I did for over 40 years, that come Friday, if my employees wanted to get a paycheck, and I said, "Hey guys, sorry, there's not enough money in the budget. I just can't go borrow another $100 million." Well, Tommy had to go write a check to make sure my people got paid. That's the accountability. That's things that we need to make sure we bring into city council. When you're looking at these projects, and I've been reviewing the budgets, I don't really look at the city budget, but I look at the different projects they're doing. It just blows my mind that they spend this money like the money grows on trees. It's just go in the backyard, pull some money off a tree, and just go spend another $100 million. I look at the projects. I question it. It's one of the things I'm really good at is looking at something, questioning it. I serve on several boards. I'm on an HOA board. I'm the vice chair for Planning and Zoning Commission, which have a meeting on Wednesday at 9 o'clock. Show up, be good. I'm the vice chair for the Affordable Housing Advisory Committee. We make recommendations, but guess what? We have no affordable housing. I also sit on an ethics panel for the local board of realtors. I've been on there for 7 years. This year, I'm the chairperson, and we hold the people accountable. And we have to decide, listen to what they're saying. I ask tons of questions because the only way you find the answers, like a lot of people have been saying, we ask the questions, we can find the solutions. And then we have to do the hard part is we have to make a decision whether we're going to go and fine them, suspend them, whatever it might be. So in city council, we need to do the same thing. We need to hold everybody accountable. We need to review the contracts, check everything. My name is Tommy Center. I'm running for District 1 City Council, and thank you.
Hello, my name is Seth Haskin. I'm running as a no party affiliation candidate for Congressional District 19. So that spans from Cape Coral, Sanibel Island, all the way down to basically Fifth Avenue, Naples. The reason I'm running is because I think our Constitution is one of the greatest limits on government. But right now, a lot of our legislatures and people in federal government are ignoring their oaths to uphold the Constitution. We have expanded federal government overreach by so much. I think there's a lot of opportunities to prevent corruption in the federal government, and there are a lot of ideas out there, one of them being term limits. However, I don't think term limits are going to actually solve the problem as much as they're going to give a calendar to corruption. So my option is to grow the size of the House of Representatives. In 1929, one Congress decided in their infinite wisdom to cap the House at 435 representatives. And that has been that way for almost 100 years. I think it's time that our population has grown significantly since that time to grow the House of Representatives. A couple of things will happen. One is going to be the shrinking size of the congressional districts. What that does, it's harder to gerrymander with smaller borders. It's going to bring our representatives closer to us. So if our congressional districts right now are about 800,000 people for one representative, if we could shrink that down to even like 500,000, my vote is worth more in one of 500,000 compared to one of 800,000. So we can get our representatives closer to us and more accountable to us instead of parties and PACs. And the other thing is that the size of Congress is directly correlated to the Electoral College. Right now, the magic number every 4 years is 270. It was never supposed to be that way. If we grow the size of the House, let's say by 100 seats, that magic number would go up by 100. It'd be 370. What that does is it gives opportunities for smaller states to have more than one candidate for the entire state for representative, and it also gives us the opportunity to check the power of the president through the election process. The other thing that I would like to implement is to bring back our senators to the state legislatures. Right now, our senators are directly elected by the population, which gives them an excuse to grandstand and become demagogues. I think if we can repeal the 17th Amendment, bring them back to the state legislatures, two things will happen. They'll be protecting the states' rights in the Congress, and it will make us pay attention more to our state assemblies in the state. If we pay more attention to our state assemblies, we'll have more freedoms. So my goal as your congressman in District 19 is to not say, how much money can I bring back? or how much anything I can bring back to the district. It's more like how can we stop sending our money and our liberties to government far from us. Again, the name is Seth Haskin for Congressional District 19. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. My name is Victor Arias, and I'm running for U.S. Congress District 19. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I am one of 8 children. My mother was a single mother. She cleaned homes. And we were raised in the projects. So I say these things to let you know that I feel what people are feeling today. People are hurting. People are hurting. Our groceries are more expensive. The gas is more expensive. And we have an endless war that's creating all these problems. I'm an attorney. I've been an attorney for 34 years. My wife here, we've been married for 32 years. Our children just graduated from college here, FSW, and they left. And guess what? We want our kids to come back, but we want our kids to come back for opportunities, which means the economy needs help. We don't want just jobs. We want careers. Here we have a problem with the water. The water, we have a water crisis. And guess what? We rely on water because it brings in tourism. But we have to diversify our economy. We have to. We have to. Now, my practice is on Del Prado. It's been there for about 25 years. I've been helping people to get justice for people. So I'm here and I'm asking for your vote. But most importantly, I want you to bring your friends so we can get engagement from everybody into the politics. Because your vote is the most important thing. Your vote. If I don't do your job when I'm elected congressman, you can vote me out. It's just that simple, but you have to be engaged. You have to be engaged. And I ask you to go to ariasforcongress.us. It's not .com, it's .us. Because when I'm elected, with your support, you're coming with me. No one should have any excuse, any representative should have any excuse to say I can't get in touch with my constituents. Why? Because we have Zoom. We have cell phones. All you got to do is just get online. It's just that simple. So no one should have any excuse not to know what's going on. And you have to have involvement from you guys. And I thank you, Clifford, and thank you for the Libertarian Party for allowing us to speak, because we need you. Victor Arias for U.S. District 19. I want your vote. Thank you very much.
How's everybody doing? Thanks for inviting me here tonight. I'm Rick Erickson. I'm running for Cape Coral Mayor. I'm looking for more freedom and less government control. I've been here since 1977. I came down from Massachusetts with my family. And in Charlotte County, I grew up in Punta Gorda, Charlotte Tarpon, and then I moved to Fort Myers in 1986. From 1983 to 86, I went in the Army, and then I came back here in 1986. Sorry about that. And since then, I went in the reserves and National Guard and spent over 32 years as an Army Green Beret Ranger, and I retired as Sergeant Major. Basically, what I want to do is bring my leadership here. Everyone asks me, well, what is a Green Beret, or what can I offer Cape Coral? People don't understand. We don't just have combat. We actually go into undeveloped countries or war-torn countries and help rebuild their infrastructure. We start from the ground up. We sit down with elders, warlords, anyone in the community that needs help. And we sit down there and we help them rebuild the community from the ground up, putting wells in, building hospitals, staffing hospitals, building churches, anything they need, we help build. We work with contracts. We get money from the government. Work with contracts. You know about that. And I have a top secret clearance, so I did everything that Tom couldn't do. And but the bottom line is, I had the experience for over 32 years doing the same thing that a mayor would do here. But the biggest thing the mayor has to do is have leadership. It's not about the mayor having one vote. He has to be able to empower the rest of the people to listen to the people that are asking for the questions and to be done. So it's up to everyone to do that. That's the most important thing. If we don't have leadership, no one's going to fall in line. And the biggest problem here is the people's voice not being heard. So I want to work on that first. And like I said, there's so much building going on. Like he was just saying, we don't have the water. We're buying the water. But they're still building the high density buildings and construction. So how are we going to work on that? We have to slow down something. Work on the infrastructure. When it rains, 20 minutes later, everything's flooding. So those are the bottom line we have to work on. Biggest thing is finding ways to save the money because they're overtaxing us. Like I said, more freedoms, less government control. I'm here for you. If you want to learn more about me, just at ericksonformayor.com. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for being here today and having us here. We really appreciate it. My name is Annette Warren. I'm running for Cape Coral City Council District 6. I have lived here for 40 years. It's like a competition, right? So my parents moved me here when I was 8 years old to the city of Cape Coral. I grew up here and I became a police explorer when I was in high school. So my service before self started very young. I was in high school. I became a police explorer. After I was a police explorer, I went into the military. I was in the Air Force and I was a cop in the Air Force. So with all that being said, after I got out of the Air Force, I was looking for a purpose. And my very good friend, Donna Germain, came to me and said, why don't you get involved with the chamber? Come sell memberships for the chamber. That was probably one of the best things I could have ever done for myself. It really helped me grow. I went through the Leadership Cape Coral program. I learned about our county. I got to visit Waste Pro. I got to visit LCEC. I got to be part of the we got City Government Day where we got to meet all of the city council and learn how city council worked and how the strong manager form of government, city manager form of government worked. With all of it, I've been educating myself for a long time. I just recently also went through the Cape Coral Citizens Academy where we got to meet all of the department heads, learned exactly what each department did or does. And it's a very great program. I highly recommend if you guys want the facts and just not anything that's on Facebook on how our city works, go through the Citizens Academy. The Citizens Academy really teaches you what our city does and what each department does. It's it's an amazing program. It's free and it's 1 day a week for 8 or 10 weeks. But educate yourself. I did, and then after I did that, I had learned even more that our city doesn't have a relationship with the state. I sat down with one of our senators and I said, "How can our city have a better relationship with the state?" He said, "Have a relationship with our state. Mm-hmm. You guys come once a year and ask for money, but we don't know what Cape Coral's doing. We have no idea what Cape Coral is doing. So sit down with us and have a meeting." And I have a plan for that. We used to have a government liaison. We don't have that position anymore for some reason. So I want somebody who's paying attention to bills. A bill came down from the state that had an unintended consequence on Cape Coral where we cannot develop the land along Burnt Store Road for another, I think, year and a half. So we need to pay it. Am I done? Wow. We need to pay it. So vote for Annette, Cape Coral City Council District 6. I've been paying attention. I grew up here and I love this city. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. A show of hands. Who wants your taxes to go up? All right. I got to make sure everyone's paying attention. It's been a long evening. My name is Lisa King. I'm running for Cape Coral City Council District 6. Lifelong resident of Lee County, born right across the bridge at Lee Memorial Hospital. Have been here my entire life. Raised my family here. I've served the 20th Judicial Circuit, the state judicial system, for the last 33 and a half years. My husband is a business owner. I understand how governments work. I understand government budgets, policies, and procedures, and I understand how the business world works. And I also understand how we should run our government as if it were a private business. I had a lot of lofty goals when I started this campaign, and I can tell you that the three things that we need to focus on are infrastructure, above and beyond everything else. We have to make sure that our infrastructure catches up with the growth that we've had here in Cape Coral. We've had a lot of growth, and we've had it rapidly. We have to protect our public safety, and we have to focus on economic development. We currently have an 8% commercial tax base. We have to continue to elevate that so that we can offset the residential tax base in Cape Coral. I have the leadership. The majority of my career has been spent in a leadership capacity. I have the experience. I have the trust, and I'm ready to serve each and every one of you. I ask for your support and your vote on August 18th. Thank you.
All right, good evening, good evening. All right, I think I'm ahead a second. Good evening, Ray Mueller. I'm running for City Council in Cape Coral, District 6. Originally born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. I moved down here back in 2020 from the communist state of New Jersey because we needed a change, and we needed the ability to live our own lives, our own way. The restrictions up there are ridiculous, and we don't believe in that. Not where I come from, and not where I want to be, and this is where we want to be. Bottom line is, I spent my past 40 years in the private sector world. I was a vice president with financial services firms, technology firms. I was a broker in real estate. I'm now fully retired. I have no licenses. I have no connections. I have no IOUs or strings to tie me down. Okay, I'm funding my own campaign. So I don't owe anybody anything. I'm coming in this because I want to take my background, my knowledge, my experience, and I want to put that to work for this city. We need to immediately, we need to jump on what's going to happen in November if this tax referendum gets passed. I think we're at an inflection point. I don't want to be playing games with what we're going to do with numbers and how we're going to shift numbers around between ad valorem and fees and everything else. We need to take a deep dive into the numbers. I can look at any budget. I have no qualms about where we need to cut, what we need to cut, how we need to cut. No one's looking over my shoulder saying, hey, buddy, remember, we gave you that money. You shouldn't be touching this union. You shouldn't be touching this building industry. You shouldn't be touching this vendor, okay? Because the bottom line is, I'm going to look at it like I looked at budgets in my career, okay? Anywhere that needs to be reduced, we will, whether it's through attrition in terms of headcount, whether it is taking 5%, 10% off the top of any department. Bottom line is, I'm not going to figure out how we do it, but I'm going to tell the city manager, the departments need to figure that out. But come back to us with numbers that make sense within the new guidelines. We need to take it seriously. Infrastructure is the next critical item. We really need to do another deep dive on how we're doing that. Bottom line is, I know this has been tried. I know many other people have great ideas on this. I know Lisa here has some good ideas in terms of her thoughts on how we can bring some of this back in-house and how we can do this differently. I want to look again at financing, purchasing, bulk purchasing, and how we're rebidding these contracts out. So all of these things come into play. These are all in my wheelhouse. I know about property rights, property values, property best in use. The bottom line is, again, we do need to increase our 8%. We could probably get our city without having to rezone or identify different properties, maybe to a 12 to 15% commercial base. And we have to try and focus on that as quickly as we can. biggest issue is we need to get our utilities in place. UEP, safety, Burnstow corridor, that's all critical. I can't see the number, you tell me. I'm done. All right, Ray Muley, Cape Coral, City Council, District 6. Ray for Cape, thank you.
All right, thank you, thank you. So, do we have any candidates that we missed? Any candidates that we missed that we want to make sure we get fair time on? Okay, so with that, we're getting a little tight on time, and we do have a lot of people that do want to respond. So what I'm going to do is we're going to put my questions out, because I think we need to hear from the people more than we need to hear from me, although I'm sure you all love my melodic voice. But we're going to do that, and I'm going to ask the candidates, just so we're not here till 11 o'clock, we cut our responses down to 1 minute. I know it's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. All right? So, right. So we got right. Okay. So anybody that would like to ask a question from the crowd, please come over to this microphone and we can go ahead and ask those. And let's not have too long of a diatribe. Let's cut to the chase and be curt so that all of us can get a quick response and hear from our candidates.
Hello, my name is Michelle Shadrack, and I'd like to talk to about Mr. Dan Shepard. When he was a councilman, he was a horrible councilman. Also, he tried to kill me. When I was campaigning for my candidates, I can say whatever I want, Ray. Shut your mouth, okay? I'm an American citizen. Okay. Shut up. Shut up.
Hold on. We're having an open discussion, an open forum. Let's keep everything
for him. Why are you standing up for him? No, don't.
Right. Hold on. I don't want to have to cut mics.
Right. So
let's keep everything direct.
I'm going to tell you exactly what happened.
Let's keep it short and sweet.
Short
and
sweet.
In there.
Everybody's dying to know now. So as I campaigned for my candidate, he parked 2 of his F-150 trucks with diesel and had the gas so that everyone could smell the gas. We begged him to turn the gas off. He did not do that. People got sick. People did not want to come into the poll. I ended up going to the hospital. I called the hospital. They came. Then I had to go to urgent care the next day for an ear, nose, and throat infection. His children harassed me online. I do not believe he's fit at all to be any kind of.
And I understand, but do we have a question in that?
Yeah, that's my question.
Okay. All right. So, if he wants to remind you, pardon me, I didn't see you over there. So,
everybody has the right to say what they want to say. But I'm not a mudslinger, or I'm not going to talk bad about anybody, because I believe that the mayor should set an example, and that's the example that I want to give to all of us. That we need to be neighborly and respectful to each other. And the only way that we'll get things accomplished is by working together and being respectful of each other. So that's how I'll leave that. Like I said, I'm not a rock thrower. I'm going to do my best to do a great job if I'm elected. I have the experience and I know what's broken. What's broke? Procurement needs a major overhaul. And like I said earlier, economic development. We only have 3 people, but we have 40 code officers. Something's wrong there. So we need a lot of help. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Yeah. All right. And as libertarians, we believe in free speech, so we do not want to censor anybody. But what we do want to do is get to a question for our panel. So anybody that's here for the forum, if you want to have a discussion, if you do have a question, you can come over to the line here. You can speak to that. So we'll turn to you, madam.
Hi, I'm Nicole Skelly. I would like to ask the gubernatorial candidates, how do they feel about flock cameras and ALPR cameras in our state? Are we going to keep them?
Stands for automatic license plate readers.
Are we going to get rid of them?
So who would like to, for the gubernatorial candidates?
Thanks for that question, Nicole. And I thank you for educating me on this problem here in the state. I am firmly against these flock cameras. Who in this country, who in this state
wants the government watching where you go and what you do. This is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. It is unnecessary in this state. And so I'm firmly against it. And as a governor of this state, I will fight the flock cameras here.
All right, thank you for that. All right, and Mr. Norman?
Thank you. Thank you, Nicole, for the question, and I'm happy to see you again. So for me, my answer is the same as well. I'm definitely would ban the flock cameras because, from my knowledge, not only are they're flawed in their execution as well as their implementation, because there has been issues to where there has been a mistake within those cameras, and then you have the wrong people that end up being either shot or either in jail behind something that they never even did because they were never even in the thing or never even in the thing. So that's one of the main issues as well. And the same thing with the she said the ALP.
ALPR, automatic license plate readers.
Okay, which are the same thing.
It's a version of flock cameras, yes.
So yeah, no, ban them all. I'm done.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
I would also like to answer this as well as the city council can.
So he had 17 seconds left, so I'll let you finish.
I'm just gonna say real quick. I like to say I'm a flock no on flock cameras, and my intention is if I am elected to the city council, my very first motion will be to suspend all flock camera activities immediately. We will suspend those operations, and then from there we will work on eliminating the contract.
Thank you for that. Next person to the microphone, please ask your question.
Yes, sir. My name is Martin Briner. I am a lead GOP committeeman, Precinct 107. I would like to ask any of these candidates if they know who the largest employers are in Cape Coral and Lee County and what they think about that.
Okay, so anybody that would like to respond, please leave the floor open.
Not just like the first couple.
Yeah, most of it is government agency, so city government, county government, school district as well. I do know that Publix and the grocery stores as well have a bit on the private sector, but there's a lot of government, and I would say at least in Cape Coral, one of our biggest industries is the construction and real estate industry. But the government tends to be a heavy employer for us.
Lee Health.
Oh, Lee Health, yeah. I actually work for Lee Health now, so I should know that.
And Mr. Foreman, 1 minute.
By far, civil servants and Lee Health are the two biggest job areas here in Cape Coral. And not just Lee Health itself, but also subsidiary contracted out companies such as Ambitrans, which belongs to my opponent, Vanessa Oliver. And one of the things that I promised to do as representative is strip some of the parts of the bills that directly impact and put up her business, as well as never put up a bill that directly impacts my own businesses in an overly positive way. We need to have fair contracts, fair bidding. If they win it again, they win it again. But pumping billions of dollars of taxpayer money into private companies is not the way America is supposed to be run. We are supposed to have the people first.
Does anybody want to address the elephant in the room, which is the Lee education system? Is pretty much, if you took Cape Coral and Lee County, they are the biggest employer.
Yeah. So that was responding under government service and civil service, I think is what they implied with that.
I was just wondering if anybody has an opinion about that.
Any further opinion?
Looking for an opinion, I think probably most of us would say we have 100,000 students in the city of Cape or in Lee County, 100,000 students, and I'm not running for school board, 120. And then you're mandated to have 25 to 30 students per teacher. So by design, you're going to have a lot of employers. By design of our area, how we're built, especially Cape Coral specifically, we are 92% residential. And that's not just, that's how many businesses there are. That's what our zoning and land use are. So that's how much is permitted at the moment. So that is a problem in itself because we can't have big businesses other than the service industry that we need. Teachers, healthcare facilities, government that serves us. So it's unfortunate, but that's where we're at the moment.
It'd be like a typically unbalanced situation compared to other cities.
Yeah, and I want
the county as well.
I want to just add to that real quick. I know. Yeah, I have 50 more seconds. I just want to say, look, with city workers, it really depends on what they're doing. You know, like for example, with permitting, we're going to need to bring in more people in their building division to quicken the permitting process. But we don't need people in like upper management and stuff like that. So it really depends on where we cut the bureaucracy.
All right. Okay, perfect. So any other questions from the crowd? Come on up, sir. All right, we got to share the mic. Share the mic. All right. So, please, if you have a directed question, please let that candidate know. Or if it's to the panel, we'll just go ahead and let everybody raise their hand if they'd like to respond.
Paul from CCN News. This question, I guess,
get closer to the mic.
Okay, I guess this question would be for particularly those going into lawmaking, so maybe city council and legislative up to the U.S. Congress. Everybody agrees, you know, in this area we have infrastructure difficulties. And a lot of problems, and it's going to take money to solve these problems, whether we like it or not. And then everybody also says the taxes are too high, we got to lower the taxes. And then we also say we're all for this property tax cut. So basically, we're going to be at this impasse where we need to cut something. So I want to know if anyone, people running for government, they never have the ability to say what are they going to cut. So does anybody here say there is something that we're spending money on and we need to get rid of it now?
We have a lot of politicians that are being, my name is Alan Spence. We have a lot of politicians that are being dishonest. They're spending so much money right now, the budget is out of control. Immediately, we cut defense spending by 10 to 20%. Anyone that tells you we can keep increasing defense spending, it's already the largest share of the federal government. Interest servicing is the largest share of what the federal budget is, and we need to cut defense spending. The government bonds, the rate is rising. We're going to be in a really bad spot. So what we need to do is we need to lower the budget deficit, and the bond market will reward the country with lower rates. But I would cut defense spending. We're spending too much money on that issue. We need to be investing in children, schools, and people instead of what we're doing right now. Thank you.
And also, I would like to say that for one, I'm not for the referendum amendment 3 for the property tax cut. I believe it's going to do more harm than good. I think that people have an understanding that, you know, it's going to cut the property taxes, and that sounds good, but what that really means is that you're not going to, all the services that we now take for granted, you're going to end up paying for them. So all those public parks that we love going to, there's going to be a fee for that. All those public libraries that we love going to, there's going to be a fee to go in, or it's going to be a fee for free Wi-Fi, and it's going to be less accessible to all of us here. As well as, I don't know if anybody else has saw it, but on the news as well, there's an issue going on now where there's a Little League now because their field lights have been out. And so they're trying to go ahead and figure out how they're going to get that done. And how they get that done? Property taxes. So a lot of, and as well as funding our education as well. So first we have to understand, when it comes down to the cut, we have to understand who's doing the cutting. Because at the end of the day, the most important thing is where the money is going. All the money that we need to fund on everything for Florida is already there. We just have the wrong person who's actually doing it. And that's why I'm running to change the game to find Norman. Thank you.
So, all right, we're going to keep this organized. We're going to listen to Mr. Shadrack, then we're going to miss.
Yes, thank you, Tom Shadrack. I am 100% for the property tax reform, 100%. If you go to my website, tomshadrack.com, you'll see my 7 slush funds that the city is hiding money. It's not that it's illegal. It's just not transparent. And there is actually, I would argue, $26 million that sits there yearly we don't use. And they just build it as a surplus, and then they use it for pet projects. So we need to look at that. Actually, at the council meeting, or the budget review tomorrow, they're actually going to implement a policy of one of my slush funds to use it. So that's accomplishment before I'm even in office. And from my cut, we pay too much money for consultants. Bring that work in-house. And we don't need all these consultants and designers for parks that we know how to design and do. It's ridiculous that we sub all that money out when we have staff that can do it, and we should enforce that they do it. Thanks.
City Council. City Council talks about how there is a $45 million deficit that we're going to be facing come year 2 when the tax reform goes into effect, which I am 100% in favor of. I want the government out of our pockets. But they also, in the same breath, after they said 40 or 45 million deficit after that year 2 mark, then they approved $65 million in pet projects. So they admitted that they were responsible for 1.5 years of that deficit. So that's the exact thing that needs to stop happening. Now, we do need to get a little more creative with things like you were talking about with the parks and the libraries. You know, we could sell a bench. I like to call those things vanity projects. Highest bidder, you want to put your name on that bench for $500,000? I'm all for that. We can absolutely use what I like to call those vanity projects. We can do things a little more creatively. We can find money that way. We can get that money from donors. We can do a lot of these things by just staying within our community.
So this was something I gave a lot of thought to and decided to come up with a real fiscal plan for how we're going to replace that taxes. Is I do believe that our residents should have a tax break, especially those who are below that $250,000 line. That's usually our veterans, our elderly, you know, those who are in most need, you know, small families and the such. So the first thing is to stop the spraying of Lake Okeechobee, its subsidiary channels, and very much so every body of water in the state of Florida. We have real machines. They're called WeDos. We can utilize those. I've spoken with their teams multiple times, spoken with biologists and scientists. By stopping the spray, introducing mechanical capture, we can actually create organic fertilizer and sell it slightly above cost, which is at a great discount compared to the fertilizer industry to our farmers here in the state of Florida. We'll be boosting agriculture. We'll be saving over $200 million on Lake Okeechobee alone, over $2.2 billion in the state of Florida. And we'll be able to generate fiscal income from that and the Great Wall of Mangroves as well. That's set to create another $5 billion for the state of Florida.
Okay, so my name is Tommy Center. I'm running for District 1 City Council. And I deal in realities, not the what ifs. So yes, reality, when they pass the tax abatement, I'm for it 100%. We're going to be short in Cape Coral about $34 million. That's a reality. But the fear mongering they put out there and say, we're going to cut this, cut that, expense this. We carried over $40 million from last year, which means we have a lot of waste and abuse in spending. Just like the fire stations, they want to put $1 million for the design for the same fire station they keep building. Well, what's wrong with the old plans, right? Or when they go and they waste all the money for these different parks without getting it done, or they give these contracts. So let's deal with realities. Yes, we're going to see $34 million shortfall, but we got to cut our spending. We got to see where they wasted. And we spent $27 million last year in overtime. So you know what? It's not going to be a problem.
One of the biggest fixes that could happen that would have the largest impact is council really blew it when they raised impact fees. They didn't raise them. And Cape Coral is still the cheapest game in town. And we're all feeling that pinch because as we grow, we're getting the bill instead of the new people, the new investors getting the bill. So the impact fees need to go up dramatically. We can't be the cheapest game in town, and we have to have respect for our community. And if people want to move here, they're going to have to pay their fair share to pay for the impact and take the burden off the citizens of Cape Coral. This has been a plague in our city since I moved here almost 30 years ago. We do not charge the new people for coming into the city enough, and the impact fees need to go up tremendously.
We're all renting our houses from the government. If you don't pay your property tax, they will take it away from you. This is not home ownership. This is not what we stand for here in this state. 7 years ago to today, the take in property tax has doubled. And 72% of all property taxes are not paid by homesteaded property owners. They're paid by institutions, by commercial properties, by second homes. And I've done the numbers here. We testified at the hearings on this. We didn't get on the ballot what we wanted to, which was to eliminate them 100%, but we were able to get it so that they're going to greatly reduce the property tax starting January 1st. If the voters, we need the voters to vote for this because it takes a 60% vote. This is a change in the Constitution here in the state. Okay, I've run the numbers. We can do this without cutting police, education, or community services. Thank you very much.
So I'll go and then yeah. So Can we reset it? Thank you. So, first off, I was the first candidate to sign the Taxpayer Protection Pledge, and I'm glad that so many other candidates have joined me on that. I think we asked the wrong question here, though. Instead of asking what we are going to cut, I think it would be better to ask what we are going to keep. Because I think when you ask what you're going to cut, all the departments are going to try to justify anything not to cut. But if you ask them what they're going to keep, then you have to justify why you're keeping it. For me, there's 3 needs in the city that we fund. That's public safety, that's maintaining our infrastructure, and that's protecting our parks and natural resources. If it has to do with those 3 things, I'm keeping it, making sure it's more efficient, but keeping it in the most cost-effective way possible. If it's not there, it's going to get cut.
And also, I would like to finish my other point earlier. I am for a reform of property taxes, but the way I see it and the way that this is on the ballot, this is not it.
All right, thank you for that. We got a long line. Oh, excuse me.
I want to say, we need that to
I think everybody wants to answer this. I'm 100% for the tax reform. And as mayor, I'm going to lead by example by never taking a stipend. I'll never vote to raise my pay. I'll keep it the same. Why should I ask people to give me a raise when we're trying to fight and pay our own bills? Okay, that's my first thing. That's a big thing. Also, we can't pick and choose what we're going to cut. So we have to have an evaluation. We have to have meetings and see what's needed and what's not needed. We had a chart come out of the salaries of the upper echelon, and they're really high. Some people get almost as close as the president of the United States. So I want to evaluate that. It's a team effort. Everyone jumps together and works on it and finds out what needs to be cut, wants and needs. We can't just go, hey, we don't like this, we don't like that. We have to actually review it and come to a solution. Simple solutions. Thank you.
Hey, two points I want to make. The first one, innovation is key, okay? When you have like the libraries we brought up, all right? We don't need huge buildings anymore with thousands of books. We have media books that we can download and read online. So there's options like that. When you talk about maybe like Cape Coral has a shortage of sidewalks, instead of building sidewalks in areas that we don't have, we can do walking path trails or bike path trails and extend the roadway to help alleviate that issue. The one thing I really want to make key, and I'm going to say this really fast, we need to change our budget process. It starts with the government right now. And what we need to do is start it with the people. As soon as I'm elected, we're going to have 7 town hall meetings. We're going to have 1 in every district. We're going to take input from the citizens. We're going to create a budget what the citizens want, not what the government wants. And that's key because we're going to carry that over to our strategic plan. And then we're going to tell the city manager in January and February that this is what the people want to fund, not what they want to fund. And that is the hugest problem that we have right now.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for that. All right. I think we got everybody in on that one. That was a hot question. All right. Our next question from the crowd.
Hi, my name is Debbie Wheeler, and I've lived here for 49 years, and I have taught school here for 30 years. So I beat you all.
Win.
But I want to tell you, when I got here, it's a wonderful place to live. We didn't lock doors. We didn't do anything like that. It was wonderful. I lived in the South Cape, grew kids in the South Cape, and then we've been moving to the Central Cape, and now we're up in the Northeast. I am appalled by the way our city looks. And I'm really, really upset because I just heard that they're going to start cutting some code enforcement. And I know everybody goes, oh, this is our property. No, if you would have looked at your what the rules were when you moved in here, you would understand what they were. When I moved here, you weren't allowed to put a pickup truck in your driveway. But the thing about it is, it always looked wonderful. I am ashamed of my neighborhood. What are you going to do about keeping our code enforcement and bringing more code enforcement in to get this place cleaned up because it looks like a trash dump?
Quick question before we start. Is code enforcement, who funds that? Or what funds that?
Hey.
Okay. Okay, the city. Okay. And then the city funds that. Is that through property taxes? Okay. So to be clear, what I believe should be done is we actually be putting the money towards putting the money toward what you just mentioned earlier. What it sounds like to me is that with the current governor, that money is not being allocated, going to where it needs to go, and paying the correct people in order to make sure that those things are actually funded and those things are actually cleaned up. Correct. Okay. No, I understand that, but what I also know is that it comes from the top. I understand what you're saying with the city and the mayor too, but at the end of the day, it comes from the top. So if the top person is not the type of person to make sure that those are priority, then neither does the city mayor, neither does the city council. At the end of the day.
Yeah, listen, I feel for you. I'm not going to improve anything that would increase the city code enforcement. I think because the biggest problem isn't enforcing, it's education. People don't realize the laws and codes that they're breaking, and that's the education part that we really need to get out and after. And I think if we turn to that instead of enforcement, we can really see a lot of changes, especially when it comes neighbor to neighbor. You know, if I see a neighbor that has something, I'll walk up and like, hey, listen, you know, you have your boat out front, you know, just so you know it's against code, and then give them that opportunity to move forward and fix that. And if they don't, then code will handle it whenever and support they have. I think more importantly, there's a lot of codes in our city and the LUDRs that need to be looked at. We need to create a committee like we did with the Charter Review Commission and have a commission that goes through every single code, fix all the issues, talk about the citizens, what we want. Maybe there's something that they want to change or whatever, and really have that discussion throughout the whole thing and correct the codes. 2018, 19, they tried to change some codes. Unfortunately, it took a lot of old codes with it, and it's really made a mess inside the city government. So that's one of the things I want to change.
Thank you. All right, and Ms. Colin Atkinson.
So, Deborah, you make some really good points there. And I understand what you're saying because as much as I hear Sean saying about the HOAing the Cape, but at the end of the day, I'm a little bit of a Cape Coral snob and I like my neighborhoods to look nice. I don't want to see a car in the grass overgrown on blocks. I don't want to see that either. Now, but at the end of the day, what it comes down to for code enforcement is that fear of conflict, right? They don't want to go knock on the neighbor's door and find out what the situation is. Now, I know to be neighborly, to be a good Christian in that sense, I'm going to go knock on that neighbor's door and to see, is there a problem? Are they elderly? Are they having a hard time? Is that maybe why? I mean, and that if that's the case, then obviously I want to get out there and I want to help. That's the first part of it. Now, if I knock on the door and a bunch of pot smoke comes out and it's a bunch of young, people in there and they just don't want to do it because they're lazy, that's a different story. Now I'm going to call code enforcement if you don't get your act together. But now I know what the other problem is also. We're talking about even what like garage conversions, right? And how we're seeing these things taking place. And what is the real issue there? It's these people are trying to subsidize because they can't afford to live here and they need to rent those areas out. And those families can't afford to rent something out for themselves and they got to, go into.
You guys ready? Thanks very much.
There are some things I can't answer.
That's fine.
I'll tell you. You can answer. You ask me whatever you want. I'll just say I can't answer.
We're here with Javier Pachenko, who's running to keep his seat as a judge in Lee County in the Civil Division Court. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
I understand you were appointed by Ron DeSantis last year.
Yes, sir.
And how did you manage that?
So the appointment process works like this. So when a judge dies, retires, or otherwise loses their job, it's the government who appoints pursuant to our Constitution. So when that happens, the Judicial Nominating Commission, a group of lawyers in town, they get together and they review applications for people who wish to be a judge. Then that Judicial Nominating Commission, the JNC, they select a group of maybe 5 candidates, and then those 5
from the local pool go to Tallahassee to get selected by the governor. I did not know the governor. I don't have any pull with anybody. I'm a very nonpartisan person. And so I was selected solely on my merit, on my judicial philosophy, on my hard work. I love what I do, but that's how I got selected.
Thank you. Also, I heard when you were speaking, you mentioned you were born in Peru, was it? And you said you noticed there that the rule of law, when it breaks down, there's some disasters. Would you care to elaborate on that? Was there something in particular you saw in Peru that made you appreciate American law that much more?
Absolutely. In Peru, the the legal infrastructure doesn't work. So meaning the court system, the system where not only where you resolve disputes, but where you have titles to properties, where you have deeds, things of that nature. Uh, when those things don't work, then people can't transfer property freely or in a way that's effective, efficient, in a way that's predictable. And what we want out of our legal system is predictability. We want everybody to know for business, we know what is going to happen in the future, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. If we go to court, what's going to happen? The contracts are going to be enforced. When you don't have that, then economically we can't grow. There can't be prosperity there because everything you do is uncertain. Banks don't want to lend money because the return is uncertain. Um, Anything you do then becomes very much risky. And so here in the United States, one of the reasons why we're the most prosperous nation on the face of the earth in the history of the world and the greatest nation is that underpinning legal system that provides certainty, provides predictability, that allows us to get access to capital. If I lend you money, I can have you can take back a mortgage on your property. I can record it, and I can be sure that if you don't pay me back, I can have security in that property. That is such a key and underrated function of what our system provides and really generates wealth. Now, obviously, those systems can go awry and they can cause problems. But so long as the underpinnings of justice, we have strong judges who know the law, who enforce contracts, who follow the law. So long as we have that, as a country, we're going to be great and we're going to be strong. And we're going to be free.
Is there a particular case over the last year here in Lee County in the civil division that was particularly difficult for you or very memorable in some way that you can explain to us?
I mean, I've handled over 2,000 cases since I've become a judge. Most of them landlord-tenant cases, a lot of them credit card cases. I can tell you that even today, we had a case in which a person was being evicted, and they had very difficult things happening in their lives. And you know, the woman was crying. It's top of mind because this happened today. I was crying about all the things that that have happened to her. As a judge, what I've done is I've created along with Judge Garza, who's my fellow county civil judge, um, uh, a specialty court that deals with those types of situations, not by interposing the judge's own, opinions or feelings, simply by enforcing very strictly leases and enforcing landlords' rights, but at the same time having those folks have access to community resources. The judge doesn't provide those. The judge is absolutely impartial. The judge is fair. The judge is fair to landlords. The judge is fair to tenants and follows the law. But when we have somebody being evicted and a community resource can be provided, just simply by being in the court, we have invited those folks into our courtrooms so that we can have those folks can have access to justice. So many cases spring to mind, but mostly is economic hardship in the civil cases and in credit card cases and in landlord tenant cases. And we're looking for creative ways to be more efficient, to be more fair, but also to have folks have access to the things they need so they don't fall into further problems.
And last question on the lighter side. You said your wife is a prosecutor. Is it difficult in a household to have two lawyers? Are you competitive about being lawyers? Do you have a win-loss record, anything like that?
No, not really. I mean, my wife and I, we went to law school together, and she knows I've always gotten better grades than she has. So she knows. But when we took the bar exam, she finished like the first person to be done, and she did so well in the bar exam that she was named as a Florida bar examiner. So she was one of the people who graded the bar. So she kicked my butt in the bar exam. I kicked her butt in law school. Probably the bar exam is probably more important, but obviously we both passed it. But no, at home, our kids have no shot. I mean, we got them. We got them cornered. We got them, on the straight and narrow, because we're a good team. We work together, and we laugh a lot about what happens in court. There's something about being in love with and partners with somebody who's an attorney who you can talk about what happened at work. And she deals with juvenile cases, very difficult cases involving very difficult decisions, very difficult situations with juvenile crime. And she knows that I can understand what she's going through, and I can be a sounding board for her. I don't really talk about my case as a judge to my wife because, frankly, they probably bore her a little bit when you're dealing with juvenile crime, and I deal with credit card cases. She probably doesn't want to hear all that, but sometimes when I need to talk, she's there to listen. That's what makes it for a long time relationship that we've had, for over 20 years now.
It's Javier Pachenko for the Civil Division in Lee County Court. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Stay tuned for more Q&A inside.
And understanding how services work. For me, for example, I wore a mask during COVID because that was something that I wanted to catch. And amazingly, I ended up did a couple of years ago, watching a year or two ago. But my point is that I think that a lot of times there's a lot of fear mongering that goes on to where people don't really know who to trust and they don't understand what's going on. And so when they do that, we kind of revert back to what we know. And I think what is important to understand is that when it comes to illnesses and sickness, it's best to err on the side of caution than it is to think more about trying to express a certain amount of freedom. Because that freedom could also lead to you ending your life as well. So be careful.
All right. And
So my
second question.
The second question is for everybody, have you or will you sign a pro-life pledge?
Yes.
Also.
Yes. Yes to the frontline doctor too.
And my turn, yes.
All right.
Absolutely.
All right. Any other hands?
Already have.
1 second.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
So we're in front, left and right.
Yes.
Yes, I already have.
Nobody wants to have an abortion, but abortion is between a woman and her doctor and nobody else. Politicians should not get involved with that decision anyway.
Absolutely. I'm a Christian and pro-life. Thank you.
And also 1 second. I'm sorry.
I'm
sorry.
I'm pro-life and I will never get an abortion.
Where did I hear that?
I'm pretty sure I already signed it. It's not necessarily an issue we're going to face at the local level, but I do support the initiative.
And what was the question again? She said,
Are you pro-life? Or would you sign it?
No, I asked, have you signed or will you be willing to sign the pro-life pledge?
okay, no, I'm pro-choice.
Okay. All right. Do we get everybody? All right. So that was a quick one. That was a hot one too, though. All right. Oh, story.
I have 3 daughters, and I am pro-life 100%.
And pardon me, I don't mean to ignore you. I'm just from the crowd. All right. Did I see you this morning over at the tax collector? All right, but please, sir, ask your question.
Hey, everybody. My name is Dusty St. Amand. I'm the, thank you. I am the future founder of the Cape Coral Botanical Garden, which is a projected project to give great commercial use to the 175 acre golf course that is currently not doing anything. What is my question? Oh, so basically, I'm not really going to talk about that project. I just want to give you some context for it. So my idea for it is a thoughtful commercial village planted in the center of a botanical garden. And if possible, adding a 9-hole golf course to the side of it as well, paying tribute to the history of that project. As I am formulating this plan, I'm trying to think about how can I maximize public benefit while minimizing the taxpayer burden? And so what I've been doing, and this is probably a question for Tom and the Cape Coral people, I've been going through the fiscal year 2027 projected budget that I think goes out to 2029, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that.
Can we please keep down the chatter in back, please?
And something that really stood out to me was there's $24 million projected from 2027 to 2029 to come out of the general fund to go towards the Coral Oaks construction with no clear reimbursement to the general fund. And so that construction would go towards clubhouse and driving range. This creates a weird conundrum in my mind as I'm trying to create a project that doesn't burden the taxpayer. I'm just wondering, what is the yes, no on when a private business is allowed to take $24 million out of a city that is already saying it's having struggles with funding?
All right. So that was directed towards mayoral candidates and the city council candidates in Cape Coral.
Yeah, Tom, Dusty and I have already compromised. I wanted an 18-hole golf course. He said, I want the botanical. I said, how about 9 holes? And we agreed. So, you can do it, but unfortunately, that is zoned already for a golf course and a clubhouse. It's not, and it's got to be mitigated if you do anything else there. So that's a 10-year, probably $20 million exercise. So again, very expensive, but go for it, but give me 9 holes. Okay. The other issue, Cape Coral Golf Course is owned by the city. We only have a management company that manages that. So the revenue, if that is ever profitable.
You're talking about Coral Oaks, or you're talking about the old Cape Coral?
Coral Oaks.
Okay, yeah.
Coral Oaks is owned by the city. They have Troon that manages it for us. They don't own it. They just labor, they have to come back to the city for any expense that they want to do. So that 24 million is to upgrade, make a community center there, make it better. Trying to make it a revenue generator is my guess, but it is owned by the city. It's our property. It's our chance actually to make revenue on that facility. So,
but is it free to the everybody else, or is it only serving a small amount of people?
Anybody can play golf there. It's just play your green fees. It's like $50 a round, like pretty competitive. It needs to be a better course. I don't play there anymore because it wasn't very good. I put a new irrigation system in. Hopefully it gets better. But it is our property and it is a potential revenue generator if it's managed well.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Shadrach. Hold on. Did you, Ms. Leon? And then we'll come to Mr. Hartman afterwards. Ms. Cohen, Atkinson, do you want to get into? Okay, so.
Listen, so I'm glad you're going to help pay for everything to be at that golf course, right? That's what you're going to do. Because it's not part of health, safety, or welfare. I do think we need to preserve as much as we can. If we can partner with a nonprofit that has money to be able to build those things that you're discussing at the old golf course, great, perfect. But this city has no means to be able to pay. We have projects.
You're taking it in a different direction. It's not going in the direction we're talking about. This is the way I'm designing it. It's not meant to be a tax burden. We're trying to find a way.
I understand what you're saying. If you allow me, I don't want to cut my time here. But what I'm trying to tell you is that the city of Cape Coral cannot put $1 into that project and what you want, especially because we're talking about golf courses and now adding 9 holes. That's not the job of government. Health, safety, welfare. We're talking about taxing making extra taxes to do that. And it's the same thing with Coral Oaks. I'm all for selling Coral Oaks, okay? I'm good with that because it shouldn't be the role of government to provide those services. And it's that simple. And it's the same thing. We can lead a project. We can be able to showcase, hey, we can have botanical gardens. We've had this conversation. I'm down for that. I'm ready for that. And listen, did you want to add something? You don't have to whisper. You can add it.
All right. So
no, I don't think you fully understand it, but I would love to meet with you because I would love to get you on the right track.
Wait a second. You want, and let me be clear.
I'm talking to the Canada, but really it's about funding.
Yeah, and we can't fund it. And I'm telling you that. We can't fund it. Now,
we agree. We agree.
Okay, just make sure it has to come from the nonprofit side. It has to come from the business side. It cannot come from the government.
You understand that?
Yes, I do, and that's what I'm trying. I'm just trying to make it very clear. We cannot have a project without something outside of that because it has nothing to do with the city, and it shouldn't have to do with the city.
Okay, we agree.
Perfect.
We agree.
Thank you. So, slow down. Well, we'll have to talk about that more. We're we're coming close to the end. We only got our last 15 minutes, everybody. All right. So
First off, if anyone follows Dusty on Facebook, he has a lot of great ideas for policies, and he has allowed me to steal his ideas for my campaign because they're just brilliant, and especially with this, trying to find an alternative funding, I really appreciate that. So I look forward to working with you on that. When it comes to Coral Oaks, they always try to privatize it. It always hits roadblocks. My view is if they're going to be doing renovations on it, it needs to be paid by the people who use it. That would mean raising the fees. If we need to raise the fees, we need to raise the fees. But that needs to be a self-sustaining situation. That's like a business, essentially, even though it's run by the city. Same with Sunsplash. We gave Sunsplash to Pro Parks to run, and it's finally, we're not losing money off of that. So we shouldn't be losing any money off of Coral Oaks. When Pro Parks came to Sunsplash and said they wanted a wave pool, the city of Cape Coral said no. Pro Parks still built the wave pool. They got private sponsorships, and now it's owned by the city. So there are other ways we can expand and renovate without pulling from the general fund. I do not support pulling from the general fund to fund what is essentially a private enterprise.
All right. You good? The horse is beaten? All right. It's good. All right. Okay. All right. Sure.
All right. I am not running for a city position in Cape Coral. I'm running it for state rep. So I have a few questions for you. One, is this on city or county land?
It would be a city asset with commercial leases.
Okay. Two, which entity runs this operation? Is it the city or a private entity?
City would have commercial leases, so each commercial lease would run their own business with contributions into the nonprofit that runs the garden, which is essentially a souped-up landscaping firm for both the golf course and for the businesses.
Okay. Three, what are your assets and revenue generators?
For the garden or for...
Yeah, let's say once it's done, what are the assets and what are the revenue generators?
Well, all of the commercial leases, so if we have steakhouse, oyster bar, wedding lawn, and such, those would all generate their own money. Okay. Each commercial lease would be contingent upon a contribution into the nonprofit, which is the same thing they would spend on landscaping regardless. Okay. And then the nonprofit, should it make the correct money, then has donors, supporters, it has donations upon entry, and then eventually, hopefully, we'll have galas and those things that all.
So donation upon entry helps fund the boat. I know that I'm running a little bit over the time here because we're going back.
Help to fund maintenance and stuff.
Okay, I run something called the Atala Project. So I'm all about habitat restoration. Do a ton of it all over the state. I think that this is something that much more fits agriculture and grant programs than city funds. And I would absolutely love to walk you down some of those avenues and work with you on this project and introduce you some of the people I know, especially the native seed and plant people up in Arcadia. I think that we could come together as a team and it would be a wonderful thing.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you on that one. We're coming up to our last few moments. Did you want to say something? Okay, go for it, and then that'll be the end. We're gonna go ahead and bring it in because I know we have some people that are more mature, and it's coming close to their bedtime. So we're gonna get this to an end quickly.
Sorry,
and it's a school night. Yes. All right. So
I've had it easy because a lot of these have been local questions. I'm federal. A lot of people forget that the office of Congress is to support the constituents. Not Washington. We have a job in Washington, but it comes back to supporting the constituents. So if there is, this is where the federal grant comes in. For parks, agriculture, I am all for no more fertilizer because that becomes our waterways. So if you can find a grant, or I can find a grant that will help for a park maybe, or something, that's where my office comes in. Yeah. I help you try to get your funding. Mm-hmm. So that is from a federal level. So don't rule that out and don't not call Byron's office. I was in Byron's office as when people were calling in. And so they were absolutely listening to everybody that was calling in and writing things down. Call the office. Is there any grants now available? Can you help me?
Yeah.
Because I know I would.
All right, thank you. All right, so now I was just pointed out that when I called the end of questions, we still had somebody in line. And just like at a voting booth, if you're in line before the end, we make sure that you go in and cast your vote. This will be the last question, and then we'll go ahead and close out the evening. Thank you. Madam, come up to the mic. Be sure to speak to it close to your mouth.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for this. Hello, thank you. Good evening, everyone. I thank you for us coming out tonight. But my question would be, as far as for the people that's running for governor, and maybe city council can also chime in on it. I have two parts, but I'm going to do it to one. What are you guys planning to do to help with what's going on with the Haitian and the TPS?
So the plan is, started off with the gubernatorial candidates. What is your plan to do about the TPS and the Haitian community?
I don't know enough about that subject yet to comment on it. I'm sorry.
All right.
So, I do. So what's going on basically is that due to the Supreme Court now, they have given Trump basically a free roadway to basically start deporting the Haitians of Florida. Well, really all over the nation, but specifically in Florida. What I would do, because it's on the federal level, it would be tough for me to try to go ahead and exceed that. But honestly, that's what I will have to do, because that's what, like, at the end of the day, what's most important, I think people should understand, is that the Haitians are not, they are a proud people, they are a wonderful people, and they've been helping this nation since they come to be here. Their taxes help us to the point of like over $300 billion for the state of Florida. So when you think about, deportations, imagine $300 billion deporting out of the state of Florida. Then how are we gonna have money for our grant? How are we gonna have money for our property taxes? How are we gonna have money to actually fund the state of Florida if we keep on sending people out of Florida for no reason?
Thank you. Last comments.
So to keep them. That's it.
Congress has failed its job on immigration. Haitians, they threw off the chains of bondage. They had a successful rebellion, and they earned their freedom, and they've struggled ever since. My immigration plan is on my website, spence2026.com, and what I would propose would be a 5-year moratorium for people that are here, so that they can get permanent residency. We need more people here to grow the economy. If you look at the past, the two drivers of economic growth have been population increases and productivity gains. We need more workers here for things like Social Security. We need more people here for the population to grow. We should only be deporting violent criminals. If somebody's here and they're not violent, they should get a chance to stay here. On top of that, it impacts other communities. I was talking to somebody from Ukraine last Friday, and he has his TPS is ending in 2 months, and he can't navigate the paperwork. And I think that's wrong. His congressman won't help him out. These people, they're getting ripped off by lawyers. There's plenty of bad lawyers in this industry as well that prey on people. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. It's been a wonderful evening. And again, you hear my voice a lot, but I'm going to let one of our libertarians from Region 1, the Volusia County area. Oh, excuse me. I'll let her talk.
Thank you. And let's give all these candidates a round of applause. It's a lot. It's a lot to uproot your life and put yourself out there for your beliefs and your call to public service. So, like Mr. Sunshine said, and thank our moderator. He's killing it for the party in our affiliate, our Lee County affiliate. My name is Nicole Skelly. I am with the Libertarian Party of Florida Executive Committee, and I have been a political activist for many years. I think we have an announcement to make as well, Mr. Jewett. A few days ago, he asked me to be his lieutenant governor. I'm very excited. I've been causing ruckus in the Panhandle for a little bit. We up there we have, excuse me, closer. We stopped a district from doing mandatory inspections. We have pushed back on TPLE, we've stopped red light cameras, we've pushed back on large scale data centers. So we're very active up there, and I cannot wait to bring that to the state. Out of college for business administration, I've ran a successful carpentry company for 19 years. I do want to get in on the game. 45 years, native Floridian. So, no, but I've lived all over the state. I'm in the Panhandle now, but I was born in Altamont Springs. So I'm very excited for this. I'm a high achiever. I'm a mother. I run a home and have 2 kids and a very happy husband. So I'm very excited for this role. I do want to speak on Scott's platform. You guys are doing so good at this, not using notes. Day 2 for me. So if you don't mind, I'm going to read a little bit. I'm going to start here. A short time ago, Scott asked me to join him as his running mate for Lieutenant Governor of Florida, and I said yes. That was a clap line. I messed that up. I'm not a career politician. I've never run for office before. But what I am is a native Floridian and libertarian who is tired of watching the same 2 parties talk a big game, and, well, you know how they do it. Scott's vision of libertarianism 2.0 is different. It's about real solutions, fixing our broken homeowners insurance system, expanding school choice, so every child has opportunity. I did homeschool my kids for a couple years too, and that was a lot of fun. Protecting our rights, reforming criminal justice so it actually makes us safer. Running a transparent, efficient government that respects the people who pay the bills. I accepted this invitation because I believe Florida deserves better than business as usual. I believe we can have a state that is freer, safer, more prosperous, and more accountable. And I believe Scott Jewett is the person who can lead us there. So today, I'm proud to stand with Scott as the Libertarian candidate for Lieutenant Governor. Together, we're going to offer Floridians a real choice in November and more freedom, less government interference, and results that actually improve people's lives. I'm ready to work hard, listen to the people of the state, and fight for Florida we all know is possible. Please stay tuned on socials, scottjewett.com. We do have a virtual candidate meet and greet on August 17th. Go to his website and sign up for that. And we're gonna be doing it. So thank you so much.
I want to say something here. I've been involved with this party here in the state. I've been impressed with the support that we've gotten and the teamwork that I've seen. And I got to tell you, there's nobody that's done what you've done for this party. I am so impressed. I had a lot of people coming to me wanting to be my lieutenant governor. I had found a bunch of people that I thought would be good candidates. And I thought, well, this is going to be a tough decision. It wasn't a tough decision. It's an easy decision. I'm proud to be running with you, and we're going to make a difference in this state.
Excellent. So thank you all. We appreciate all the work you do. So the final thing I'm going to say is there was a school board meeting tonight. So we did not have any school board candidates. And man, am I glad we didn't. Because we'd have been here till midnight. So what we are doing for the school board candidates is Wednesday evening. If anybody would like to join us, we're going to be at Shoeless Joe's, 6:30 to 9:30. And we're going to be doing the same thing for school board candidates. So meet with us, Shoeless Joe's, 6:30. Thank you all for coming out. It's been wonderful. LeeLibertarians.org. Follow us there. Thank you.
It's nice to meet you all. Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I'm here with Seth Haskin, who's running for Florida District 19 for U.S. Congress. Seth, thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Now, I've heard this primary called I think it was the carpetbag primary.
Yes.
Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so carpetbaggers are usually people who move from a previous state or something like that to a new state and run for the same office or a different office, usually within like a year or two, usually after they lose. So there are quite a few of those. I would say the max you could say somebody's a carpetbagger is maybe 5 years, but after they've been here 5 years, I think they're no longer a carpetbagger. I think 5 years is enough time to know the local issues. But I think a couple of them are from Illinois. Two of them actually ran for the same seat in Illinois and are going up against each other. And they put a lot of money into the campaign.
Thanks. Now, I heard when you were speaking up there, you had a lot of ideas on government and policy. You seem to have put a lot of thought into this. Is this your background? Did you go to school for government, political science? Do you have experience in politics? Like your idea on expanding the House of Representatives? Just a couple of questions. How do you plan on expanding? Is that going to take a constitutional amendment?
So to answer your first question, my background is actually in neuroscience. I have a bachelor's degree in neuroscience. I was going to go into medicine, but after COVID, I realized it's not for me, unless I have a lot of money to start my own practice. Now, when it comes to government knowledge, most of it's self-educated. I will give a shout out to Hillsdale College. They have some great free online courses for government and stuff like that, history. I also read a lot of the founding documents, their biographies. Jefferson has like an 8-book biography, not autobiography, but regular biography, stuff like that. Now, my ideas on growing the House, that would not take a constitutional amendment. There is no there's nothing in the constitution that says the House should be a certain size. That was up to the Congress to decide. But in 1929, they just capped the House at 435 after they added the states of Hawaii and Alaska. They wanted it that way for a couple of reasons. The progressive era is full of a lot of misinformation and corruption in government. That's when you got the 16th Amendment, the 17th Amendment, and the 18th Amendment, and a lot of those other amendments. A mass amendment process in America was a huge turning point in American politics. And so it wouldn't, short answer, it wouldn't take a constitutional amendment. It would just take repealing the 1929 Permanent Apportionment Act and then just discussing it with my colleagues in Congress. How are we going to grow the House? How much are we going to grow the House? After we do that, how do we apportion those seats amongst the states?
And you also mentioned that growing the House would help stop gerrymandering. Do you care to elaborate on how that works?
Yeah, so I'm not going to get into the mathematics of it, but if you just like draw a circle and your radius is like a certain number, if you shrink that radius, the circumference shrinks. So you have less lines to work with, basically. So if the congressional districts shrink in size, at least states that have multiple congressional districts, like Florida, for example, who has a large electoral vote district for Congress, those smaller districts means it's harder to get those like snaky little lines because you'll have to be more aware that people are going to be paying attention to it a lot more. And closer representation is going to be a lot harder to gerrymander because, again, you're working with less circumference if you're talking about circle or just distance area. So.
And specifically, you're going to be representing Florida 19th, which is about Lee County, more or less.
Yeah.
What specifically are you going to do for the residents in Florida 19 when you go to Washington?
Yeah, so my main goal for Florida 19 residents is to stop the federal overreach into our district and into our state. So right now, I think the federal government is spending a lot of money on things that it doesn't have the power to do. So my goal is to basically give people's freedoms and liberties back to the state, to their local governments that the federal government is overreaching on. For example, the federal government with infrastructure, they do have the Commerce Clause, but they overextend that into how we build our roads and curbs and everything else. And so my goal for Florida District 19 is to basically bring your money back so we stop sending it up there in the first place. So that we have more spending power, and then to basically stop the federal regulations of a district that they have no connection to except for me.
Well, thank you very much for your time. This is Seth Haskin, running for Florida 19th for U.S. Congress. Too loud? Is it too loud? Can you hear me? Okay. I'm here with Julie McCormick, who is running for Florida House District 76. Thank you for your time, Julie.
Thank you for having me.
Well, thanks. When you were speaking up there, you answered my question on what to cut. You had a plan for Lake Okeechobee and waterways regarding fertilizer. Would you care to expand on that?
Yes, absolutely. So, in order to accommodate the tax cuts that we're going to see on homestead taxes, we need to generate more income in the state. And that's not just that's not just relying on the work that Doge has done. And they've uncovered millions and millions of dollars of savings. However, we need to do something alongside with them. So we need to stop the spray in the state of Florida. We need to stop spraying glyphosate and toxifying all of our rivers with pellets and gelatinous muck. And we need to have a real world solution, which is a conversion to mechanical withdrawal. So when we take machines and we clean up our waterways with machines, removing the invasive plants, removing plant matter that we don't want, what we can now do with that captured vegetation is we can turn it into organic fertilizer and organic compost. So we can sell this back. We can create it for a very, very small amount of money. And we can sell this back to our farmers at just above cost, which is a huge discount compared to the fertilizer and soil industry. And not only will we be saving $200 million a year on Lake Okeechobee alone, but we'll actually switch from spending to generating income. And we're looking at generating over $2.2 billion per year for the state of Florida just on soil and fertilizer. Then there's also my other idea, which is the Great Wall of Mangroves. So this is kind of a threefold thing. Right now we have hurricane issues, okay? We have economic issues and we have job issues, right? So I never want to see a Hurricane Ian hit Southwest Florida ever again. Right now we have over 300 million tons of clean aggregate sitting at mines that are destined for DOT projects. What we need is legislation that allows this aggregate to be used for what I call the Great Wall of Mangroves, which is a chain of islands from Tampa Bay down to the 10,000 islands. The West Coast is where we're most often hit with the worst. And on these islands of aggregate sand will be planted mangroves, corals, as well as oysters. And what this will allow is not only a huge buffer for the state of Florida, which will reduce our storm surge levels in an Ian-type disaster from 12 foot to 2 foot in areas like Punta Gorda, but it will also provide huge economic value with the fisheries, especially as it grows over time, and this will be something that's preserved. These islands will never be developed. However, you can fish and swim and dive all around them all you want. And so what we're seeing here is not only environmental protection, but we're also seeing homeowner protection. We're going to see the price and costs of homeowners insurance to go down dramatically because the flood risk will go down dramatically. And then we're also going to see a great boost to our local economy, especially our fishermen and you know, marine adjacent industries. We're going to see a huge boost with that, with the tourism as well. I think it would just be such a great benefit to the state of Florida.
Now, I'm correct to say you had a farming background. You say you were raised on a farm?
I was actually not raised on a farm. I started McCormack Ranches when I was 14 years old.
Okay, so you're a farmer now.
I am a farmer now.
Okay, and do you think your farming experience will bring a unique perspective to Tallahassee?
Absolutely. We don't have a lot of agriculturally minded representatives right now in the state of Florida, which is a pity because District 76 is mostly agricultural. It is mostly rural. And so I really feel that my agricultural experience will represent my district very well because I can connect with the people of my district on the realest of levels, being a business owner and being, you know, a farmer rancher.
I notice in Florida, we have a unique combination of republicanism and environmentalism. Have you seen that combination as well, or do you feel like you're getting more environmentalism from the Democrat side?
You know, what's funny is I really don't think that it's weird that we have a mix of environmentalism and republicanism because we have, it's a nonpartisan issue, really. Every single thing that lives needs clean water, needs clean air, needs clean land, needs availability of a quality of life and enjoyment. So in the state of Florida, where we have one of the most unique ecosystems in the entire world and an abundance of opportunity before us in this wonderful country that we call America, where some broke little 12-year-old with 50 cents to her name can turn into, a farm ranch owner serving 19 counties. This combination that we have in Florida is so unique, and it's not weird at all to me that we have it, because we need to defend our rights, our liberties, and protect our economy, our homes, our families, but also defend the rights, liberties, availabilities, and economical and environmental standards of the beauty that surrounds us. We cannot falter in the protection of the environment because we all rely on it.
Well, thank you very much, Julie, for your time. It's Julie McCormick, running for State House, Florida, District 78. Stay tuned for more.
76.
Oh, I'm sorry, District 76. Thank you.
Thank you.
I get.
Such a hot button one. So, my name's Clifford.
Clifford, and you're part of the Libertarian?
I'm the chair of the Libertarian Party of Lee County.
Okay, you're chair. So what does that involve, being a chair of a Libertarian Party?
Oh, the main thing I have to do is bring the energy. There's been a lot of years the Libertarian Party's been around, but they've really kind of lost their fizzle. So I'm here to bring some more energy back and get more involvement, because people are too encamped on their left, right, this party, that party, where we need to focus on policy to actually get development and growth. And that means fostering conversation between both sides and coming to a good consensus. And that's really the direction I want to help the Libertarian Party fill and step into the future.
So how often do you do events like this? Is it more of a, because election season's coming, you do a little more now?
This is actually our first big event. All right. So we haven't done anything of this scale for several years. I've actually been the chair for 2 years. I was a vice chair for 1 year, a secretary for the year before that. So it was about 5 years ago before I started was the last time we had a big event of this size and nature. Thank you. So we're going to plan on doing more, and largely because of the energy we have between the current election coming on, and really want to get involved in this one because these elections that happen in between presidential elections are the ones that have the lowest turnout. But it gives us the greatest opportunity to introduce ourselves and help build more voters and people coming in and making decisions actually in the community.
I thought it was a really great event, an unusual event too, as there was multiple positions, multiple candidates. Everybody was different parties. We had Democrats, we had Republicans, Libertarians, Independents. Was that your idea, or is that something you guys came up with together? How did that come to be?
It was an idea we had within the party, and it was something that we were discussing at our meeting, which we host every first Wednesday of the month over at Shoeless Joe's, and we are moving around to a couple locations. But we had discussion of what we can do, and it was actually our secretary that said we need to do some sort of forum or some discussion point. And that's when I reached out and said, okay, let's go ahead and do something. And I just didn't think small. I got talked to everybody that was on the ballot. So everybody got an invitation. It was open. So glad that it all came together so well, and we had so many participants, and we even had more than this slated, but people had other opportunities and other situations that they had to attend to, and they couldn't make it. So it was supposed to be even bigger.
Well, I thought it was still a great event. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Stay tuned.
Don't tell me you missed all of that. Yeah, yes. So perfect. Yeah. So excuse me. Do you guys do media local to Southwest Florida, or are you all around the state, or what's your footprint? Okay.
I'm expanding to the Panhandle as well as Jacksonville.
Well, you're very welcome to come to our school board event that we're having Wednesday night. If you'd like to come to that, Wednesday, I know I have a little short this 2 days. Yeah, just stay tuned with our TikTok. That's one of the most active one. And our Facebook page, those 3 resident ones. And we're probably some more interviews, work on another events next to so. But they said, like that's, said he was gonna come out, but he can't, and he wasn't feeling up to it when saving himself for a bigger event. And I was like, look, bigger than us. So, but just interviews or other things go around, so I'll stay posted there and we'll see how it goes. All right,
Thank you. Thank you very much. Nice meeting you.
Thankful. Northeast State Hall.
I'll help you fact sheet.
What do I do?
Close up the bar. Oh, yeah, come on, let me,
I'm from Ghana, I'm from Ghana, yeah, okay.
oh, don't let.
Thank you.
Okay, and that's a wrap here at Duffy's in Cape Coral for the 2026 Candidate Forum. We heard from many candidates for multiple positions from all political parties. Stay tuned for our next event. Follow us on Facebook. Thanks very much. I'm Paul for Coastal Conservative.